Recording in progress.
I guess it's not, I have some number of seconds. I'll wait and start on time so those folks who are right at the wire can have a chance to come in.
I pulled out right after you,
Okay.
Florence Street onto Route 9. And
Yeah,
I was real careful.
we're recording.
Yeah.
Okay, it's 7 o'clock. Welcome, everybody. This is an unusually scheduled additional meeting of the Zoning and Planning Committee on Thursday, September 7th, 2023. And I'm going to introduce those members of the committee who are with us so far are at the table. I am Deb Crossley, Council at Large from Ward 5, my Vice Chair, Vicki Danberg, at large from Ward 6, President Susan Albright, at large from Ward 2, and Councillor Allison Leary, at large from Ward 1. The other members of the committee are expected shortly, but meanwhile, I will say the staff here at the table are Jennifer Kyra, Deputy Director of the Planning Department, and Zach Lamel, Chief of Long Range Planning. And we are joined in the room by Councillor Bill Humphrey as well. Online, I see we are joined by Councillors Andrea Kelly and Tariq Lucas at the beginning of the meeting. We have our committee clerk back with us. She was on vacation last time, Jacqueline Norton, and Councillor Maliki just joined us, and I'm going to call on I don't see Mr. Kelly from the planning board. Mr. Doringer, do you see other members of the planning board here with us yet? You're muted, Mr. Doringer.
Yes, I'm the only one I see for now.
Okay, I'll
Thank you.
come back to you. The first couple of items we have actually are appointments and an appointment and reappointments. I'm going to take the reappointments out of order because we are joined in the room by one of them. I need to see first if we are joined yet by David Boronke.
I'm here.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so I will take you up first. First on the agenda is item 289-23. Is for honor the mayor appointing David Boronke of Auburndale as an alternate member of the Auburndale Historic District Commission for a term of office to expire September 18th, 2026. And we would like to invite you to present yourself and just briefly give us, we've seen your resume and so forth, but if you want to give us your summary for the record of why you're interested in serving, and we'll take it from there.
Sure. My name is David Boronke. I'm the principal and owner of Slocum Hall Design Group, an architecture and interior design firm based in Watertown, right next to the former Russo's. We have done a lot of work in Newton over the years, a lot of which has been historic homes, many of which have won Newton Historic Awards. I've been involved in the restoration of a couple pretty significant homes in Newton and have always had a love of older homes. I just finished renovating an 1870 farmhouse for myself in Auburndale. And when the mayor asked if I would be willing to join, I of course said yes. So
Terrific.
here I am.
Thank you very much, and thank you for stepping forward on the mayor's request. Are there any comments or questions from members of the committee? First, Councillor Danberg.
I just want to thank you very much for serving, being willing to serve and spend your time doing this on this very worthwhile committee. And since you are Ward 4 and I'm 6, I think I'm the nearest one. And when the
Councillor
time
Cressman's
comes,
not here yet.
I am happy to move approval.
All right, well, consider it moved. Any other comments or questions? No, I think we have a motion on the table to approve your appointment. And I don't see that any other of our committee members have joined us online as of yet. So all those in favor here, please say aye.
Aye.
No opposition or abstentions. So thank you very much. Thank you for joining us this evening, and have a great time.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Look forward to working with you.
Before we go forward, I see we have been joined by Counselor Alicia Bowman. I think that's it for the council so far. So I'm gonna jump to the end of the agenda because we have a reappointment in the room. Might as well do both of them, but I'll start with 279-23, which is the reappointment of Doug Cornelius to the Newton Historical Commission by Her Honor the Mayor. As an at-large member to continue his term as our at-large for a term set to expire on July 31st, 2026. Would you like to join us at the table? Mr.
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Cornelius? I told Mr. Cornelius it was not necessary for him to come in, but he so much wanted to talk to us. So tell us why you enjoy this role.
I'm a lawyer by training, back in law school, studying real estate, focused on real estate. I also was on track to do a master's in historic preservation. But I got a great job from a law firm and I got more credits to finish the master's and never did. So this is my, I think it's on my penance for not having finished my master's there. And
Oh, you only have one master's.
the JD, the matter to go along with that
Yeah.
aspect of it. So I just, this would be my third term. I just got reelected by the commission members to serve as chair again.
Yes, well, we're thrilled at that. Thank you. Any comments from Councilor President Albright?
So thank you for being willing to do this job. And in the spirit of Councilor Danbury's last comment, I'm the closest person to Ward 3, being on Ward 2. So I'll move approval.
All right, anybody else? Councilor
Just thank you very much, Doug, for the great job that you've done and for being willing to do it again. We are, it's our good fortune that you wound up here and on this committee.
All right,
And I concur with my colleagues. I've seen Mr. Cornelius in action on the committee, and I've always been impressed with the way he handles the committee and very thoughtful comments, and I think very balanced comments.
Thank you.
thank you. Ditto. And I think Mr. Cornelius knows this. Councilor Albright and I have had the pleasure, along with Councilor Kelly, who's in the audience here tonight, of working closely with you and Councilor Baker on helping to improve our ordinances that you work by. So that was a lot of extra work, and we appreciate that. So thank you. Okay, we have a motion on the table. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That's 4, and I still think we do not have any other member of the committee with us this evening yet. So it's unanimous.
Great, thank you. I'm long time watched Chiefs game with my wife.
Yes, thanks so much for joining us. Oh, we thought you were out of town. We have been joined at the table by Councilor Pam Wright at large from Ward 3. You just missed moving approval for Mr. Cornelius. So, and Councilor Princeton has joined us as well at large from Ward 4. You just missed moving approval on Mr. Borncay for the Auburn Historic. So we took care of it for you.
Shame me.
So we're ready. You're just in time to move. Oh, actually, while you're getting settled, I'm going to take care of the very last item. It took since, so it's not hanging out at the end. 278-23 is the reappointment of John Rice to the Newton Historical Commission by Her Honor the Mayor for a term of office set to expire September 30th, 2026. And former Councilor Rice is in my ward, so someone else needs to. Thank you. We have a motion to approve. Any comments as we're setting up here? I think we all know and love Councilor Rice and the former Councilor Rice, and we are happy that he is continuing to serve.
Yeah.
So thank you. All those in favor of the motion on the table, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? I believe that's 6-0 unanimous. And now we are close to a full committee. Okay. So with that, I was going to wait for Counselor Ryan, who I know is on her way, but she has.
I saw her walking in.
Oh, good, okay. In the front door.
Yeah. She was ahead of me, so I don't know
Who's
where
ahead
she
of
went.
you? Oh, okay.
And
And I see that we've been, I'm sorry. Oh, okay.
I saw somebody down here just
Okay.
breathing.
So I will acknowledge that Counselor Oliver has also joined us in the room. And I don't see any other members of the planning board or council in the audience. It's an unusually small audience for one of our meetings. Ah, thank you. Amy Dane from the planning board is here. And Councilman Baker has just joined us as well, a member of the committee, but he's joining us by Zoom. So welcome. So we've just concluded our appointments and reappointments, and all we have left is are the two items that we are continuing to go through. And tonight, which is item 3822, request for discussion and amendments on the zoning ordinance and zoning map regarding village center districts, and item 3922, which is a discussion item on state guidance for implementing the housing choice bill, which we always take up simultaneously, so that we can just freely discuss the item that's secondary to the main item. So, and tonight, as you all know, we are continuing our review and taking up amendments pertaining to the version 2 maps. I'm planning to do it in a random order, but I want to let everybody know that I have a special request from the Ward 4 councilors to, if it looks like we're going to get through all of the items tonight, we'll take up the Ward 4 villages last. To give Councilors Markowitz and Gentile an opportunity to join us. They have a community meeting tonight. This was my understanding from Councilor Gentile anyway. Do you know, are you supposed to be there? Unless it was some other community meeting that, you know.
He's a member of a few communities. so-
Yeah, right.
Might have been Charles Bank.
Don't know. I don't know. So, no, that's not set up yet. So, so I'm happy to honor that request. If it looks like by some, you know, wonderful turn of events that we're gonna get through everything, you know, we will take it up at the end. But otherwise we'll push it to our Monday meeting, which we're beginning with probably a brief public hearing. And we'll continue our business on Monday. Okay, so Council Ryan asked me to make a statement at the beginning of the meeting, so I am just going to put it on the table. It's a procedural, well, not even procedural matter, but there have been claims that we have, and I just want this for the record, claims that we do not have materials available for people to look at and comment on, and that somehow we're not being transparent. So I just want to say, again, just for the record, and we put it in the report, we have been noticing our meetings for almost 3 years now on this subject, and all materials, of course, are online. In addition, this particular version that we're going through now, version 2, was made available beginning in, we were working on it in April and May. And
Recording in progress.
Have we not been recording?
No.
Oh, somebody just joined us, okay. And we noticed the version 2 for a public hearing. The materials were attached to the notice, the legal notice that's required, and 6,000 postcards that went out to everyone in the proposed district, the abutters and the abutters to abutters, and has been advertised and linked as well in both online newspapers that we have, the Fig City and the Beacon. So,
Say that number one more time. How many?
6,000 postcards were mailed to people in their homes or apartments, with links to the material that have been before us and started on, starting with the public hearing on June 26th. So 2 weeks before then, all that material was made available and noticed and advertised and mailed to people. So, and for the immediate future, what we're doing right now and we'll continue to do today and Monday is to continue to refine the maps. So anything that we vote on a temporary basis called straw votes at tonight's meeting will be reflected in a version 3 that is going to go out next week, pretty immediately after we finish our meeting on Monday night. That's why we want to get most of it done tonight at least. So, so the materials are available. If anybody asks you or suggests that, you know, somehow this is closeted, it's absolutely not true. Everything is available for public viewing, and we are getting comments all the time. So we have huge folders of comments that we keep online. They're in the Friday packet every week. They get updated. There's one link for community testimonials on this project. There's 2 folders within it, one from groups, one from community members, and there's a table of contents for each one. So it's really easy to see what people are thinking and saying to us. We've learned a lot from all that. So just want to say that. And Council Wright.
Just a couple questions. So the latest maps, not all those people have been received a postcard of them being upset.
Yes.
The latest one? Or
Either-
don't you-
The maps we are looking at tonight are not the proposal that's before us. They are graphic compilations of everybody's proposed amendments.
But
And
so,
they are in the packet.
yeah, but not everyone that's on this map have received a postcard.
No, and that, of course
Okay.
not, because it's not real yet, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Will people, once we get the final map after next week, will everyone who's being upzoned and the neighbors and
So
the
the-
butters of the
then
butters be
I'm
notified?
not sure that so that's not legally required. We will advertise. We have an advertising protocol. We have now 2 online newspapers. We have the mayor's newsletter. And there are the required notices. So we can talk about that process after this, but yes, all the people who are in any district, I believe, anybody who is newly going to be included in the district would be noticed. Is that correct?
We could,
And there are butters and there are butters too.
yeah, we haven't talked about that yet, just because we don't know if any will be added, what the scale of that will be.
Yeah, so far we haven't been big on expanding the scope of the district. But let's get to that at the end. The purpose of my comment was to get rid of the mythology that somehow we haven't been transparent here, because I've lived here for 38 years. This is the most overt and extensive outreach the city has ever done on any topic. And all of the material is there. And, you know, that's just the truth. So I just want to make sure some folks have been out there saying that we're not allowing people to review and comment. That's simply not true.
So my next question is, some of these updates on here were from the architects group. And I went on the website looking under the groups and I could not find their email or suggesting their upgrades. So if one of you could send it to me, because I couldn't find it on the website.
In the testimonials?
Yes.
We can make sure it gets to the clerk and the clerk posts it on the website.
I've seen their emails in the group emails.
But I went to the website to look under the group testimonials and it wasn't under there.
If it's not, make sure. it gets
Okay.
Okay. All right. So, as I said at the beginning, just hoping to go in a somewhat random manner, I thought we would go across to the north side of town for the next, I want to go random, both north, south, and random in terms of villages that have public transit and villages that don't. So, I thought we might start with Newtonville. Okay. So if the staff could put the Newtonville map up on the screen, that would be helpful. We've spent a fair amount of time in Newtonville in that we use that also as our, Util used it as a way of illustrating what at least a street would look like. The main drag and I forget the name street. So, you know what I don't have? I don't have my clear list of names. I have my other glasses. So I can see better. I don't have what I had last time. I'll use this. So we have a number of proposed map amendments. I don't think it's anybody new in the audience, but just briefly, again, these are graphic illustrations or graphic compilations of everybody's proposed amendments. So when we get to a section, the person who or entity who contacted the counselor or the counselor who talked with the entity, if you want to propose the amendment, we will take that up. The solid colors on the map, just to quickly review, are the proposed version 2 map. VC3 is red, VC2 is blue, and MRT is green. The outlines are proposed changes. They're either proposed to downsize, say from VC3 to VC2, or to expand by adding VC2 or MRT. Those properties are outlined. If it's an existing property and someone's proposing to change the zone from, say, VC3 to VC2, it shows it as red because that's the original, that's in the version 2 with, say, a blue outline. We have lots here to work on. What we did before, and I think maybe we did a little better job at it this time, is to go from the outside in so that we take up the MRT district first. I'll just remind everybody that at our last meeting, we covered the contiguous, the 50% contiguous district comprised of Newton Center, Newtonville, the Elliott T, and along Route 9. And in general, the committee, we made some changes, we downsized a few things, but in general, we did not have the appetite to add to the district by expanding MRT or even adding, some people proposed adding along Route 9. But we also did not seem to have much of an appetite for, except in a few specific sites where we thought the development couldn't work. We didn't seem to have the appetite to downsize from VC3 to VC2. So that's kind of where we landed with that section of the city. Here we have only proposals on the MRT district, we have proposals to expand it along Madison Avenue and along Court Street. Can I think Counselor Leary or the Ward 6 counselors had something to do with that,
With the MRT expansion.
with the MRT expansion.
No.
Yes, but if you're not prepared to move the amendment or are not inclined to anymore. So I know Councilor Bowman has joined us, but that didn't come from Ward 6. I know Ward 6 went through all the maps.
We came to the architects group.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if no one's gonna make a motion, there's not there's not an amendment before us. And if that's the case, then we'll assume the committee does not have the interest in expanding the MRT district in Newtonville. I'm seeing a lot of heads nodding. Okay, so we will pass to the next item. For VC2, I'll start, go ahead.
I don't know, if this is a change to MRT.
Correct,
Is it, that was proposed,
correct.
so, okay.
It's a change to add,
No, there was another change that I proposed
On Austin Street.
on Austin Street to change a couple of places.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Right. I see
Okay.
it's not on the map,
Yeah,
there it is,
sorry.
now it's there.
Hard to visualize when there's multiple. proposals.
I see, there's two different outlines. Okay, so the last, let's pick that up on Austin Street. The last property on Austin Street that was originally VC3 has been proposed to change either to MRT or to VC2. So we'll take up the MRT first. So that's yours, Councilor
So,
Albright.
yeah, I had proposed MRT because it's very congruent with what's going on in the area. And it, allows a better step down into the neighborhood. There's some houses there and why take away a very lovely house that's there and make it into something else? When MRT is practically what it is now. So I would, and was there only one site, Zach? Because I had two addresses here, 6068 and 7072.
Oh,
Was only one of them in,
we just must have,
Oh, so the,
7072 is MRT.
okay,
Yeah.
so it's only
Yeah.
one there that
Yeah.
I'm asking to change.
Yeah, there's two MRTs right next to it,
Yes,
small ones, okay.
two MRTs next to it, it's the same kind of house, and it just made sense to me to make that MRT.
Okay, so we have a motion to downzone this from this one site. Tell me the number again,
That's 60,
6668 Austin.
66 to 68 Austin Street. The motion is to downzone from VC3 to MRT. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, it's done. And I think that's the only other downsides to MRT. So then let's go to the VC2. And I'm gonna start with the fact that
Did Counselor Lucas have any specifics?
on MRT, no,
I don't
well,
remember
okay.
seeing any,
Okay,
but I think he's here.
he is here. So.
No, I didn't.
okay.
So I expect that someone will raise their hand or speak up if one of the amendments I'm describing is theirs. Let's see, where am I? I don't have a street name here, but you can see that parallel to Walnut Street, there's a small section where behind the VC3 zone, it's proposed to add VC2. Somebody want to claim that proposal?
Central Avenue,
that's Central Avenue.
Yeah.
and it looks like that's from the building professional.
Okay. To be clear, I mean, we got proposals from numerous organizations as well who've been following this very carefully. And some have met with counselors to review this sort of things, but at this point, the proposed amendment has to come from a city councilor. So I'm not hearing anyone step forward to propose to upzone those lots to VC2. So I'm going to assume hearing none, that's off the table. The rest of the VC two proposals are to downsize from VC three to VC two.
There's two more additions down at the
Where do you
end.
see them? They're all connected on. Sorry.
Down the end here.
Where?
Where the
Oh, okay,
mouse is.
okay. I didn't see that. I see. Okay, so outside of the quarter mile, is that the quarter mile circle?
Yeah.
But within the half mile circle, there's a proposal to expand the district. First along the edge of Court Street and along Washington Street as VC two, and then it moves into a VC three. This is another proposal to expand the district. Is there a counselor who wants to champion this idea?
Are
Or
we
say-
talking about right here?
No,
Whole Foods.
outside
Sorry,
where Whole Foods is and where Marty's is.
this was, I think this was mine, and,
Okay.
and I'm sorry, I was paying attention to centralized.
Okay,
Looking at that. Yeah, so the reason why I proposed that, this is Whole Foods, Marty's, and some other business, I forget what it is.
I think it's Whole
Parking
Foods
lot.
and Marty's
Yes,
and
parking
the
lot.
big parking lot. Yep.
The Newtonville Village Plan went all the way to Craft Street. And those are already businesses that it's active businesses that ought to be perhaps more active and could have housing above it. And I just didn't know why that wasn't included since it was in the village plan. And so that's why I proposed it.
Okay. And
Can I speak to it?
Council Wright?
So Washington Street is gonna be upzoned anyways, as the corridors, as the next go around after we pass this. So just like we did with Needham Street and also Route 9, I don't see to expand it any farther than what we already have. Because it will be addressed later. And we did the same thing. We took things out when we were down on Route 9 and Needham Street.
Especially Route 9, but we've not studied Route 9 at all, really. So I mean, I understand the difference, but Council, all set? Council Christman?
I'm inclined to support it. I actually think President Albright's right. I think it's obviously a pretty big couple of parcels, few parcels that right now are sort of, barren with a lot of parking. It doesn't fully use that site. And again, given the proximity to the commuter rail, which I think was one of the things that was highlighted in the studies.
Yeah.
I think it makes a lot of sense.
Okay, and this is just for the VC2 lots. What are the size of these lots? Do you know? Are they special permit anyway?
They are.
Marty's is 34,000 and something. If I happen to look that up with lately.
So they'll both be special permits.
Yeah,
Okay, both. All right, so.
Well, 2 out of the 3 would be special permit. There's 3 lots there. Oh, that other lot, I don't think is.
Well, right now, we're just talking about the VC2, so.
Yeah, but I think the second VC2 is 19,
It is smaller.
so it would be by right.
The middle
If they were-
would be
if they
by
were-
right.
If they were developed
Parking lot,
separately.
again, it's a
Yeah.
parking lot, it's a parking lot. Just a couple comments also, I mean, that area there's proposal for that senior living right
Yeah, it's
there,
behind it.
right behind it, and then there's another 40B being proposed behind that.
So it's
And so
really
there's-
would fit in then. or
And then if there's a 5-story building on this corner, as you know, an office building. So I do think there is an opportunity there, and I think it would be appropriate for VC3. So although I wouldn't want to lose the Whole Foods market.
So I'm focused on the VC2 at first, but we can move
Okay.
to that VC3 right away too. Council Ryan?
Well, I was gonna also say that, those, at least the Marty's and Whole Foods would be special permit anyway. But there are two Whole Foods in downtown Boston that are the ground floor and, and down there, the huge number of stories, whatever, is way more than what we're doing, but they're all housing on top. So they do go into, they do go into ground floor residential, so to speak, but is there a third lot?
It's a parking lot in
Yeah.
between.
There's 2 that are proposed as VC2,
Yeah.
Marty's and the parking lot. And then there's one that's proposed in VC3, which is where Whole Foods is.
And so right now, what somebody is proposing it as VC.
Counselor Albright is proposing
VC three.
VC2 and VC3, but we're focused on the two VC2 lots. Yeah,
Yeah, I leave this VC two, this residential on the other side of the graph. I know that big nursing homes going in the back, but.
so is that a,
you still have that residential on the ground across the street and right on the corner.
so you're saying that all three should be VC2? I'm not sure what you're saying, so,
Well, at least the corner of Craft and Washington should be VC two.
not VC3.
No.
Okay, all right, Councilor Krinsman?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think. If as proposed, sort of. Reverses the way the methodology we've been employing, where, getting sort of smaller and working out. Although I think it's appropriate for the. More dense zone, I think VC2 across all three parcels make more sense than actually going to VC3 at the sort of outer edge without any transition.
Can
Beyond
we
that.
change the proposed amendment? to
Yeah, I
VC2?
think I actually said VC2 or VC3, so I'm fine with that.
Okay, so the whole thing is being proposed as VC2. And I think Councilor Baker, we did.
Yeah, I just wanted, I think maybe the question was answered, but there was a map that showed the uses. That about the property, and when you referenced on Crabtree behind it is the, right, that's, but what is opposite, that's what I'm trying to see, the map, that if you go.
Here? Across Crafts.
Yeah, there we go.
Where's McGuire Court? Because McGuire Court, that whole area has been purchased by,
Yeah, McGuire Court's back a little further.
and who owns where the buses are? Is that?
That's Corp.
Yeah.
Is that where the
Market
nursing
development,
home
yeah.
is going?
Yes.
So it's gonna be, that's where the nursing home that we just, not nursing home, it's a.
Senior living.
Assisted living
transitional
kind of thing, right?
Goes
Yeah.
from, it goes from, to increasing care.
And that became 6 stories, didn't it? Or 5 stories?
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah, it was gonna be 7, but it was approved at 6.
I think that's what I
That's right.
remember.
that's right.
But what I'm curious about is across the street from the blue line there.
That's the apartment building?
No,
This is not,
that's towards Fortune Street, all of that.
yeah, these are homes.
On the corner is a two-family, like a two-family townhouse that was recently done over in the last 10 years.
So I think there's an acceptance of the motion to convert all 3 parcels that comprise Marty's and Whole Foods to VC2. I'm good with that.
That's fine, yeah.
Okay,
Can I ask a question? Then? I just asked the board chief, councilors and others in the committee. Is that, this is, the VC2 can go up to 3.5 stories, right? And so I'm just thinking of the impact of the property across the street. Those folks have not been aware of any of this so far, in the sense that they're generally aware, but they're not specifically. And that gets to the question that I heard on the tweet that Brad gave us, the question of what, we haven't decided that. There's a notice, but I think the question is what is appropriate in this context for those folks to, they're looking at a low-rise operation right now. And they would look at a high-rise operation if this.
And it's damn ugly low rise. It's a huge parking lot with 1-story box stores. This would be better.
Well, that's a policy choice that certainly we can all urge, but I just want to,
it'd be a special permit anyway, though, Councilor Baker. It's a very large lot.
if they would divide it though, they could get around and do it.
They could
Yeah,
divide
they
it,
could
but then it's
divide
gonna be smaller, the building will be smaller.
But Dunstan East has smaller buildings, so it
Dunstan
is,
East is a comprehensive.
I know it's different, but I'm just saying it has smaller buildings. It has 3 buildings in that one site. So they can subdivide it to make smaller buildings like that.
If they don't do it, it's a special permit. I guess
They do subdivide, then they would subdivide to a by right.
Yeah.
Ability to build that the city council has approved that to be by right.
But the lot isn't big enough to do like 3, not to do a Dunstan East. This is significantly smaller. So you're not gonna see any development of that scale.
I mean, the one thing that would influence me to support this would be the fact that it's a special permit likelihood, because that gives some guidance to the people across the street. That's the one piece that is a little different about this than other contexts.
We're wanting to move to a vote because we got a lot on the table here tonight. Ready to vote? Council Baker?
Yeah. Well, no,
Okay, okay.
I thought this was.
So I'm, yeah.
No, I think but I- the city ready for other people. to
Okay.
speak.
So we have a motion on the table to convert these 3 lots that comprise Marty's and Whole Foods to VC2. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Yes.
Council Wright is opposed. Any
I'm
abstentions?
saying just because my other 1 or 2 colleagues are not part of the conversation, I want to hear from them. So,
Okay. All righty, VC2. So now, what we have, staying on VC2 is we have a lot of proposals to downsize particular lots from VC3 to VC2, and I believe this is mostly coming from Councilor Wright.
Yes.
Would you like to describe the scope and why? Or you can do it by piece, you can do it by area, say like.
I'll
start-
do by areas.
Okay.
So,
before she starts, can I just ask a clarifying question on the map? There are some things that are outlined in blue and then there are things in red. Again, just to understand what is being discussed, we're talking about anything that's outlined in blue that is also
Yeah.
red underneath.
Correct. We already voted on the ones that have an N in them, and we actually didn't vote. We didn't get a proposal. We didn't get an amendment
Yeah.
proposed.
Right, so we're only looking at parcels that have red and blue around. them.
Yes.
Okay, I just
Yeah.
understand the map, that's all.
From VC3 to VC2.
Okay.
So, Council Wright, you're on.
so the Washington Street Vision Plan, which we spent 500,000 on it, we came up with, especially on Walnut Street, 3 to 4 stories maximum. And this would be following the Washington Street Vision Plan, which also there was a lot of outreach there and with the Newtonville Area Council and things like that. And that seems to be what the residents in that area wanted to see, 3 to 4 stories, especially along Walnut Street.
Along Walnut Street? Oh, I thought you were on Washington Street.
Well, you said I can pick where I wanted to go.
Yeah, I thought you said Washington. You can pick.
I know,
just heard you
Washington
say
Street
Washington Street.
Vision Plan, so I'm
Okay,
talking, which
okay.
included Walnut Street.
Okay,
So in the village center, and especially Walnut Street is is a lot narrower than Washington Street, and you're not overlooking the pike. That would like to see 3 to 4 stories max, and that would be VC2. Some of it didn't really show up on this map. Along Washington Street, what I was proposing is right along Washington Street. It could be VC3, but as you got farther back into the neighborhoods, almost halfway through the lot, and I think I put like 100 feet back or something like that on my desk.
Zoning for the law department.
So, well, then we could do like a VC4, and that would be, VC3 for the first 100 feet, and then after that would be VC2. So there's ways to go around it. You just don't have it
okay,
proposed.
let's stay on where we are if we could. We are not in the text. We're not adding a zone at the moment. So.
Well, that was my proposal though. My proposal was,
You didn't propose it when we were amending the text. So we don't have a VC4.
okay, so I didn't know that we could not do the zoning that way. But anyways, so my proposal would be to, in the village center on Walnut Street, bring it down to VC2 and right along Washington Street, just, near Walnut Street to be VC3. And as you got closer to Court Street there, there's no transition, there's houses. If you take a look there at Court Street and where the red is.
Could we go parcel by parcel rather?
Okay,
Yeah, this is a
okay.
little hard to follow.
Okay, so Walnut Street,
Let's pick one and then.
south of the Pike, Walnut Street, Austin Street, and I think it's Newtonville Avenue there, to be VC2 on the north side of Austin Street where the Star Market is, that could stay VC3.
I'd like to break it up even further and have
Okay.
you specifically pick out what parcel you want VC2 and what you think should stay VC3. That would help me,
Okay,
okay?
let's go on Walnut Street. Everything on Walnut Street up to the Pike, each lot would be VC2, except
Why is that arrow going all over the place?
It's my,
Okay.
sorry,
there's two of them on it, right,
Yeah.
Control?
can I highlight,
It's duly cursors here.
I know.
Yeah.
these are the parcels, just the
You're just talking about the parcels that front Walnut Street.
Yes,
So can I, when it comes to some of them, I'd like to pile on because I had a similar proposal for part of these.
okay. And
Okay.
the one on the east side of Walnut Street, I would go where it butts the green area, that would also go to.
Would you want to take those up at once? or-
Those right there, right next to it, they're behind the VC3. You wouldn't go VC2 and then VC3 and then MRT. Those two, yeah.
So you're talking about the church, right? The big church, you want to downsize the big church?
Well, I would hope that it would be a reuse, so it would
Yeah,
stay
I-
as it
Right,
is.
yeah,
why change it?
So why change it? And then also the Masonic building is already 5 stories.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change that either. It's also, it's also been, what's the name?
Landmark.
Landmark, thank you. And I would keep those the same. I would agree with the ones behind the church. Those are some commercial buildings. We're facing the Pike. I haven't talked to the property owner on that one, but I would consider that VC2 because it does kind of but, well, actually, that's another commercial business, the airport, so,
The blue is VC two.
Yes.
okay, so,
So there's already.
yeah, so I guess I would keep those VC3 too,
So
because they're facing the Pike.
okay,
So what is the they that you're keeping VC free? That's, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry,
The three.
Can draw it.
it's Harry's building over there,
I think you're talking about
yeah,
church
behind the church, yeah,
and then.
And then the
and that, yes,
All that, leave it at VC3.
yes.
So you can vote on that first.
why don't we vote on that first? So we have Pam, can I put this in terms of your motion to change it to VC2? Okay, I will. I just want to understand what we're doing.
Yeah.
Will you accept having those as VC3, then this goes away?
no,
No, okay, so your motion still is for those 3 parcels that are along I-90 and along the very first part of Walnut Street, which are the church and the Masonic Temple and the commercial buildings to the east. You want those to go from VC3 to VC2. That's the motion on the table. I'm going to go to Counselor Wright. Counselor Ryan, I'm sorry. I pointed to you, but
I think that between Madison and the Pike, including Masonic and the Lodge Church should be VC3. The 2 on the other side of Madison should be VC2. And the ones behind the Masonic Hall separated should be VC2.
I think we're not there.
we're not there.
it's
Just
different properties.
Just we've got in the
What's in the
black
black outline? We're going to vote on that first.
All right, then
You
the
think that's
church
pretty
stays VC3, the Masonic Hall stays VC3, and the 2 behind the church are the 3 little ones behind the church, VC2.
That's not the motion on the table.
All right, that's my opinion.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, please.
I guess I'd like to ask Councilor Wright, I understand the logic behind the Washington Street vision plan. But if there's a parcel that has limited impact on the abutters, it seems to be something that is directly abutting the Pike and the train line. And I'm sort of sympathetic to the idea that the big parcel in the upper left-hand corner might qualify for, that's the church, right?
Yeah.
Might qualify for VC3. But is it landmarked or not?
The Masonic Temple land.
Masonic Temple. I guess one of the questions I would have is that, that church has gone through a variety of changes over time, and but it is in a sense part of the fabric of the community. And I think a site like that is appropriate for a smaller building, actually, because of its location. The question is this imperil that building in a way?
I don't think that building's going.
Hmm?
I don't think that building is going anywhere.
Well, I guess the question though, if it's VC3 as of right, is it the demolition candidate and then just before that? That's what I'm trying to-
Well, it still has to go before historic,
Right.
obviously, but it's also a massive building. It would be very expensive to. take
It would still
down.
have a demolition delay most likely, which would give an opportunity if there's consideration of the landmarking. So it wouldn't get torn down overnight.
The buildings behind it, I'm less concerned about almost.
They're not really impacting it.
Yeah, no.
Whoops, sorry, I'm seeing how big that parcel is.
And Counselor, Lucas has his hand up too.
Okay. I'm gonna try and get to everyone as soon as we understand what we're doing here. Counselor Oliver, you had your hand up first, I think, so,
Yes, sorry, I was just pointing out that Counselor Lucas had said,
Oh.
that's all.
okay, Counselor Lucas,
0 square feet.
you're on mute, Counselor Lucas, there you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Okay, good. So I submitted a one amendment with several lots on it. It was similar to Counselor Wright's. Every parcel on Walnut Street that faces Walnut Street in the Washington Street Vision Plan says low heights, village character, 1 to 4 stories, 4 stories maximum. Every parcel on Walnut Street south of the Pike. So my amendment was to change everything that is VC3 that's on Walnut Street to VC2. So it is consistent with the Washington Street Vision Plan.
Counselor
Hold-
Lucas, can I just interrupt you for a second? We're trying to take this in pieces, and what we just agreed to is to just consider an amendment, which is Pam's, which you can also support. She wants to take those several parcels that are outlined in black on the map, which is the church and the Masonic Temple and the several commercial properties going down the side street there.
Bower Street, yeah.
Bower Street. The proposal is to downsize, right now what's before us is the proposal to downsize those parcels, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parcels, from VC3 to VC2. So we're trying to take this up in chunks so that we know where we are on the map.
Okay, so with the things that are in the outline in black, everything should be VC2, with the exception of those 3 small commercial properties on Bowers and Newtonville Ave. The owner of that building wants it to remain VC3, and I am inclined to support that. So I would say only the 2 properties that are on Walnut Street should be VC2. The 3 small parcels on the side streets should remain VC3.
Okay, well, thank you. Councilor Wright, we're gonna need to move to a vote.
Okay,
pretty
just,
soon.
I want to just say one thing. Downzoning the 2, the church and the Masonic building to VC2 would be more incentive not to tear down that building. So if we want to do reuse, you know, if they're going to tear it down, they're going to have to do something a lot smaller. So then do VC2, and that would protect the buildings in some respect, because what they can replace it with is something smaller.
Okay, we have the motion before us. I think we need to vote because we're gonna have to move through this map. I think folks know where they stand on this in the committee. So we're taking up this chunk of parcels as one entity. Is that still okay?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so the proposal again is to change this section, these 5 parcels from VC3 to VC2. All in favor, please say aye.
Oh, aye, sorry.
That's 2. All opposed, nay.
Nay.
Okay, any abstentions? Okay. We are leaving that as VC3. That's good, okay, good. We have a on-time marking. Okay, so next. Counselor Wright, because also Counselor Lucas has his proposal, which might dovetail with yours if you stay along Walnut Street. Is that correct, Counselor Lucas? Okay, I got a thumbs up. So do we want to outline the rest of the lots that front on Walnut Street?
That's awesome.
Just Walnut Street.
But do you want to add these two?
Well, can I say that separately? There should be a transition to the MRT, so that should go to blue.
So there will be a transition no matter what, because there's a 50-foot. Within 50 feet of a MRT or residential zone, the height, it can only be 3.5 stories anyways, and that lot. That's right there, that zone VC3 behind the Masonic Temple. It's 95 feet wide, so again, but 50 feet. The 50 feet next to it is gonna be a 3.5 story building maximum.
Which is-
But it's also gonna have a 20-foot setback.
Which is also taller than what is allowed today.
Okay, can we focus on along Walnut Street so that at least we have,
Sure.
yeah, let's do
Let's
that.
just do the east, can we just do the east side
Okay,
of Walnut?
the east side of Walnut Street.
Do you wanna include those lots?
No,
No, okay, so it's just.
Yes.
not the one you want,
Masonic.
anymore. Not the Masonic
Sorry.
Temple.
I'll draw again.
Okay, no, we got it. So the 1, 2, 3, 4 parcels on the east side of Walnut Street that are currently zoned VC3 or VC3 are proposed to go to VC2, Counselor Albright.
So I don't know if I did it right, but I think the Madison, the buildings on the north side of Madison and the south side of Madison, I agreed should be also VC2 as they approach the senior center, which would be 3 stories. So it made sense to me to
All
let
4
them come
parcels?
down to VC. No, I don't think I picked what the top is, what the higher was. Those, yeah, those two and the other one, those two south of Madison and the one north of Madison, I thought ought to be VC2.
The one north of Madison.
So you're off by one parcel from this proposal.
Yes,
If you move the top line down one parcel, that's what.
That's
you're
what I,
proposing.
yeah.
Hate to say this, but I think we ought to divide this up a little bit more. The 2 parcels that are furthest to the south. Can we vote on those separately? And you are proposing that those become VC2 to be more contextual with the new senior center and so
Which is
forth?
across the street now.
Okay, folks, are you ready to vote?
Yep.
Okay, all those in favor of reducing those 2 parcels from VC3 to VC2, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? No abstentions? Okay, those will go down to VC2. Now the parcel across the street on Madison Avenue.
Didn't we, we're doing them now. I
Oh, you're
think.
doing it.
Which I can see what you're pointing to, but I'm gonna go up again.
Quarter minutes.
The corner of Madison.
Corner of Madison only. Because Counselor Albright, you don't want to go further than that, or do you want to?
No, I'm actually okay either way on this, on that corner, but.
Oh, okay, then do we want to just take up Pam's,
Yeah,
Council
just
Wright's
go,
amendment of
yeah.
those 2 parcels that are on Walnut Street on the east side? And then there are 4 parcels on the opposite side along Walnut Street,
On the other side of
on the other side. So how about all of those? That's 6 parcels.
And Counselor Lucas has his hand up.
Counselor Lucas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If we're talking about the 2 parcels on the east side of Walnut Street, yes, part of my amendment was to make those VC2 consistent with the Washington Street Vision Plan.
Oh, well, it's okay. Counselor Princeman.
So I feel like all along, the remaining parcels along Walnut, the 2 on the east and the 4 on the west, are probably sort of right in the heart of the village and inappropriate for VC3, with the exception of the one at the corner of Walnut and Highland Ave, for the same reason, right across from the senior center. I could see going down to VC2 on that one, as sort of a transition. But I think the other 5 that we have remaining in our Walnut Street corridor.
So
I'd like to see them remain DC.
So the senior center is 3 stories, 3 full stories,
Yeah.
plus a pitched roof, correct? And, yeah, 3.5, so it is a 3.5-story building, so it's already transitioning down from the heart of the
I
village
don't think
center.
it's 3.5, it's just a straight 3.
Yeah,
3
and
full
it's not
stories
as
plus-
tall as our 3-story buildings either. Because the first floor is not 18 feet.
I don't remember.
Yeah, so we don't know how people are gonna build these things, so those are just options, but, okay, so Council Wright is proposing all of these lots, and Council Lucas as well, that face Walnut Street, both on the east side and the west side, to be downzoned from VC3 to VC2. Council Krinsman has proposed that only the lot that is adjacent to the senior center, so maybe do we want to vote that one separately? You've got lots facing the senior center on along Highland Avenue. Oh my goodness, okay, how's this? On both sides of Walnut Street, on the east side, there's 2 lots, on the west side, there's 3 lots coming down from Austin Street, let's circle all of that.
Yeah.
Okay, the proposal is to take those lots. And we're gonna need to give the clerk addresses, because it was really a bear trying to write the report last time without knowing where we were. But the proposal is to change all of these lots from the version 2 VC3 to VC2. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oh, no. I did. Not I, not I, aye. Okay, all those opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Any abstentions? Okay, that is a 2 to 6. The item fails. Those stay as VC3 in the core of the village center. Now there's the, So go ahead, Councilor Krinsman.
I just wanted to see, Zach, can you tell, the properties along Highland Ave, are those big enough to require a special permit?
They're all smaller.
They're all smaller?
Yeah.
And they can be
Even the big
subdivided.
one? Even that one with
The
the church on it?
Church to be open word.
Uh,
The church was just landmarked.
No, I would need a special permit.
Just that,
Wait, the church was just landmarked, guys.
Yeah,
So it's.
and
it's
it
not
needs a
gonna go
special
anywhere.
permit,
Yeah,
so.
and anything that happens there, they're not gonna be able to demolish the church, and anything else that happens on the site is subject to an HC review.
Okay,
the corner lots 15.
so do we want to leave that one alone or?
Well, let's vote. VC2.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to take them up individually, I think. We'll go back. Thank you.
Are we gonna vote on the Los Amigos?
Yeah.
The DC2?
Yes.
Okay.
So the lot with that
okay.
middle strip is definitely.
That's the
There it
Austin.
is.
Austin.
The
Austin.
Austin lot, right?
Yeah.
And the lot at the corner,
This one,
yeah,
it is. The Los Amigos,
Yeah.
It's about 16,000.
yeah, under 16,000.
So, okay. The lot on the furthest south corner of Highland and Walnut Street. Let's just take that one up. All those in favor of reducing that from VC3 to VC2, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay, go for it. Now, do we take the church lot up separately and then go to Austin Street?
Yeah.
All those in favor of reducing the landmarked church lot from VC3 to VC2, which already requires a special permit, just need to make that clear. Please say aye.
Aye.
Well, we haven't completed voting, so the straw vote, go ahead.
So the building that faces Highland is the church, which has been landmarked. The building behind it is the parish building, which is not much of anything. And I mean, I have heard of people who are interested in sharing that area and doing some interesting projects there. And I would hate to limit, I just want to say, I would hate to limit the ability for these interesting projects to happen. But the church is facing the senior
Right.
center, and they're not gonna be bothering the height of the senior center.
Okay,
So.
so
that, oh, okay, is that, okay,
The idea was-
to keep it as easy.
Yeah. Okay, so, all right,
That's what I
so
do.
you're ready to vote. We haven't finished our vote yet, but go ahead.
So one of the issues I have going to BC3 on all this, and even though, oh, it's over 30,000 square feet, they can cut off that lot in the back and be under 30,000 square feet and do it by right. They all have the option of doing MU4 on this. And if they got it, if you're saying, oh, it's over.
Be approved by the council, so I don't.
But if it's a special permit anyways at 31,000, what's the difference of DC3 versus MU4? They're both a special permit.
The back of, to create a lot in the back, they wouldn't actually have access. So if they needed access to the site, because Bramway is not a actual way, it's part of the city's 28 Austin Street parcel. And there's easement, I believe, along it for some of the property owners along Walnut Street. So if they wanted access from that, I think they would need to get.
So the city council would have to be involved.
I
in
think
this
there would
in
be
any
some
case.
process in order to do that.
Okay, so I'm gonna start this over again. This is one lot. Regardless of anybody's vision in the future, do we want to, I'm sorry, go ahead, Councilor Humphrey.
I wanted to ask the planning staff if they could comment on the implications of this potential zoning one way or the other on making renovations and reuse of the building, adaptive reuse of the building possible. Obviously, it is landmarked and we want it to survive and thrive and everything. But if it were to be downzoned or if it were to remain at this, would that facilitate cost-effective use of that parcel and renovating that church, putting it into good condition rather than letting it decline and decay?
Yeah, it's hard to say. We don't know the extent of the cost of renovations for the church. The implications of going from BC2 to BC3 would limit what you could do as far as new construction on the site and any additions to it. So you would have less footprint and less height to work with if you wanted to add on to the site to use it for other purposes and renovate the church. So you would have, it may not be cost effective, but we don't have that information. We don't know.
It seems to me that it probably is gonna be harder to get the church into good shape, the building into good shape, if it's downzoned. And it's gonna be protected if it remains at the high zone, but we want the people to be able to actually do something with the site that they can keep the building maintained.
Thank you, Councilor Ryan.
Okay, I just, what Councilor President Albert said. So the building that's in the back is actually connected by an archway that you drive under to the main church, and that would be part of the landmark, right?
They specifically said that something could happen to the parish house.
But it would be up to the discretion of the
But it's not like
historical
that.
commission.
I've been all through that building, I've done things there with groups and they used to hold, because the church itself, we couldn't have masses in it. In there anymore, so they moved them, the actual Swedenborg Church moved into the parish house on the first floor. The Catholic splinter group was on the second floor for their masses. That building is in pretty good shape. The only thing that was wrong was the heat.
So, let me just understand what, Ms. Carter just said. In Woburn, I understand, for example, that the recent landmarking, of the Strong Block doesn't include the deli and the Woburn Market, but that the Historic Commission has jurisdiction over what happens there. Is it similar here?
Correct. So I believe the result was that they felt the parish house did not rise to the level of landmarking and meet the criteria for a landmark, which is our highest bar for preservation. However, the entire site is landmarked. So the commission, I think, indicated they may be open to something else happening where the parish house is. But it will all need approval from the historical commission
Okay.
and detailed plan approval. Not just like a demo delay process.
Okay, that's important for us to know, I think. Go ahead,
This
please.
is gonna depend on where it goes. So the best way to preserve that for reuse, that whole, the building and maybe even the parish house, what's the best zoning on it?
Well, what provides the most value for the site is certainly the highest zoning, so VC3. That gives you more opportunity to build on the site that may provide the funds to renovate and preserve the church building. Again, we don't know the exact particulars of what sort of shape it's in, what's needed, exactly what that sort of financing would look like. But in general, you know, the higher the zoning, the more value, the more you can do with it. It may offset the work, the preservation work.
Okay, Councilor Oliver?
Councilor Lucas again.
Oh, yes, I see Councilor Lucas.
Really hard to see in that corner there.
Yeah, you know, my eyes aren't great, but never mind. Councilor Lucas?
Thank you. I was just gonna say, I thought only the church was landmarked and not the parish house, but I think President Albright stated that, but I think Ms. Kyra corrected us on that, and I think the entire site is landmarked. The other thing I was gonna say is, at our last ZAP meeting, I believe it was Councilor Laredo said we should be considerate of the other villages in the city when we are taking up amendments. I believe Councilor Danberg and Bowman presented amendments to ZAP to remove MRT zones in Newton Center, and those were approved. But yet Newtonville, everything, I see a lot of ends on here. And I just like, I don't know what's going on. I really don't know what's going on. So,
Councilor Lucas, we already dealt with the MRT. We did not expand the MRT, and there were no proposals to diminish the MRT from anyone. So we've already gone through that section. We have accepted some of these down zonings in Newton Center and Newton Highlands. We did not down zone any VC3 or VC2. In fact, we added to Newton Center VC3 and VC2. So
okay, but these amendments that I presented on Walnut Street are clear and they are in the city's comprehensive plan. And we are just completely ignoring, I know myself and Councilor Norton, who also supported these amendments as well for Walnut Street.
Councilor Lucas, there's no competition going on here. We're trying to do what's best for each village center. And the committee vote is a straw vote. We will take up potential amendments, hopefully not as many, after we complete the public hearing, and then it will go to full council. And if there are amendments left to deliberate at full council, which I fully expect there will be, we can take them up there. But we should not be wasting our time talking about, you know, competing from one village to another.
It's not so much competing, it's just about being considerate and also abiding by the city's comprehensive plan.
There's not necessarily.
We're not expanding the MRT here.
No, I think he's talking about he wanted, and he and the ward councillor wanted these VC3s to come down to VC2, so we should listen.
But we didn't do anything like that across the top of the city. We didn't. So, I mean, the only thing we did was remove VC1, remove some of MRT and across town. So I think so far we have been consistent. In Newton Highlands and Newton Center, we kept everything the same in the core of the village center.
In fact, we added VC3 and
We
VC2
did, we added
out zone in the core.
So, yeah, but they were the aqueduct. Yes,
Yeah,
I would like to get through these votes and instead of arguing about, you know, who knows this. I know, we will all be dead. So, okay, folks, I want to get to the vote. Councilor Wright.
I want a clarification from the planning department. So in this lot, with the church, and I just did it online here, there's a way to make 45 feet frontage. So the lot is landmarked. Can they subdivide that lot? And then is both the lots landmarked because the building in the back isn't? How is that? Because
So I believe this has come up before. I would need to confirm, but I believe it is, because we've had this come up. I think maybe even the district. Where we end up with a lot that like doesn't have anything on it, or it's a house that's not actually historic, that's subject to review, and it's a little unusual. So I believe it would be. It would be, the whole thing would be, but both lots would be subject to NHC review.
so even though the second lot, when they subdivide it, doesn't have the historic building on it.
But because this entire site is landmarked.
Okay.
That means there's a tremendous amount of control over this site by not us. But, by the historic commission, Council Humphrey.
Yeah, just because we did go through this with the Wobbin Square parcel, the way it works again is that the whole lot is technically landmarked. There's different standards of review, but if you were to try to build something new next to the building that's landmarked, then there's a contextual review that the historic commission makes where they say, is this new thing contextually appropriate to be right next to the old thing? And I think that would also apply if the lot were subdivided, so it would still have to be contextually appropriate.
Okay.
Where's Ben Cornelius when you need him?
So, folks, are we ready to vote?
Yep.
Yes.
Great. All those in favor of reducing this zone from VC3 to VC2, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all those nay?
Nay.
Okay, that is 1 to 7. That item fails. And so I think we should go to we didn't get to the 2 lots that are east of the Masonic Temple. The proposal, who made this proposal? Council Wright, is this yours or Council Albright's? Council
Yeah.
Wright. Okay, so what's your rationale for downzoning these 2?
Because the transition to, these are homes in that area, that it should be VC2 instead of VC3. And yes, there is some transition requirement, but it's much higher than what's even available now in the MU4. So I'd like to see a transition to the neighborhood, and that's why I'm
Okay, so these are
saying that.
parking lots now that serve, do they serve the Masonic Temple and the?
Yes.
Okay.
And some of the businesses, the yoga studio.
So they're owned by, so is the first one owned by the Masonic
Yes,
Temple and the
yes,
second one is owned by the?
The
where
CVS,
used
yes.
to be?
Yep.
Okay.
And there's an easement through there too.
The pass through. Because this one's landlocked here.
Yeah, so I was gonna ask about that,
Yeah.
because there's an easement, that makes sense. All right, anybody else? Council Wright, Ryan, so I keep doing that.
Council Wright,
Sounds the same.
switch seats. I'm gonna agree with Council Wright.
You do,
Yeah, I think I'm always for a step down.
okay, Council Cranston,
Yeah, I think it makes sense here to transition between the VC3 and the residences.
and what's behind it is MRT.
Right.
Anybody else? Councilor Albright.
I'll only say that, there's a setback requirement here, 15 feet, I think.
Yep.
There's a setback requirement of 20 feet,
Yeah,
and then for the first 50 feet, the building can only be 3.5 stories.
okay, so I don't think you're gonna get much VC3 out of these lots anyway.
Right. Well, unless, I'll just devil's advocate, so the CVS site, that's their parking lot. Well, first of all, they'd have to somehow continue the easement to access
Yeah.
it, right? So it probably doesn't make any difference whatsoever what we zone it. It's gonna be really hard for them to attach that property to doing something. So never mind, I think,
Building's vacant right now.
yeah, I'm happy to make this concession. Go ahead.
I have a question, go back to the photograph. To the right of the yes, that one. Is that a commercial?
No,
An apartment building.
it's a big house
Yeah, it's a.
All those parking spaces are
for
garage?
that house.
It's an apartment building.
An apartment building?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's already an apartment building that has a parking lot on its left.
Yeah, it's 5 apartments.
Okay,
Can I just make a comment about when this was gonna be developed back in the day, which is last year or something? The Masonic Temple was upset about losing the view off the second floor dining room. And there was a deal to be struck by pushing the tallest part of the building back towards the parking lot, or even into the parking lot, and leaving it lower near them. So if you do that, you might be limiting what could happen to benefit the Masonic Temple.
But it was only pushed back about 10 or 15 feet. It wasn't pushed back all the way into the parking lot. It was
They
only,
can't do it at all.
They can't do it at all if it's not BC3.
And it wrapped around and,
it was only pushed back here. Because this is the first.
There was, it never made the light of day, but a deal was close to being struck to push it way back.
and the thing, what I would say is, the back of the Masonic building is just a total flat wall. There's
Yeah.
really only one tiny window there. It would actually be a more appropriate place for a potential DC3 of what can be built. As you know, the setbacks are restricted. And it would actually could be potentially helpful for the Masonic building to have that there because if they were working, it might be able to improve the parking lot or something like that.
The Masonic Temple is 4.5 stories.
It's 5.
It's 5, the full 5.
Very tall building.
Yeah, okay. And so what their thought was at one point, and they do own that parcel behind them, was to basically extrude the shape of their building like two-faced further
To
towards.
protect the facade of it and put the
Yep.
density behind.
Yep.
That was the thought, but it never worked out with everything that happened with the economy and the expenses. doing that, but-
We're getting into the weeds.
Yeah,
Especially when taking away the height would take away that possibility.
because I think with the protections that, you're really limited with what you can do with the BC3 there. It might make sense just to keep that BC3.
if there was more protection in the VC3 and the setbacks, I would be agreeing to a lot of this, but it isn't, and it's worse than what's allowed now. And so that's why I don't support it. So, and I did put up the amendments in the actual zoning, and if we did accepted that, I would have accepted a lot of this. But I don't now.
so are we ready to vote on this?
Yes, I think so. Okay, all those in favor of reducing these 2 lots, we'll take them together, right? From VC3 to VC2, please say aye. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, okay. All those opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
It's 3 nays. I'm gonna abstain on this one. Okay.
So it goes to VC2.
Yeah, it passes. Okay. I guess I want to just suggest that I know we all care deeply about what the future potential is of all these particular sites and want to protect absolutely everyone. We're trying to just keep in mind the whole. So we have along Austin Street, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parcels. And those 2 are behind the Walnut Street. Are they owned by the Walnut Street properties? I think they are, or not? Are they
So
separate?
one of them is, so that's, I believe, this parking lot here.
Okay, the landlocked one.
Yeah, and then there's the Starbucks building.
Okay. Okay, let's take those 2 along Graham Way. How's that first? That are behind the Walnut Street buildings. Are we ready to vote? All those in favor of reducing those from VC3 to VC2, please say aye. 2, all those opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
2 to 6. Okay, let's go along Austin Street. Do we need to parse this at all? We've already taken care of the last site. Austin Street is already built and There's- I can't even imagine somebody taking that down today. Counselor Wright,
So those other three lots, they abut properties, and if you take a look, those are small lots and small houses, and to have a VC3 right on top of it is just very overpowering.
well, it can only be VC2 within 50 feet of the rear lot line. Anyway.
Still, I mean, as you can see there, the building's much farther than 50 feet. So I'm still proposing VC2 for those.
Okay. Anybody else?
So where is it? What are we, which properties are we talking about?
This one,
Then I think there's 4 lots. Could we go back to the graphic?
So there's
Three lots.
Oh, you want to just take the 3 lots
Yeah.
by themselves? All those in favor of,
Sorry, can I just, what's the size of the one on the far left? Is that 60? Yeah, 60. Or is it special permit?
24,000, so site plan
Just
review,
under?
the site plan review for that one. And the others
okay,
one. would be
so that
better.
we've got, not counting the Austin Street project lot, we have 3 lots along Austin Street. All those in favor of reducing those from VC3 to VC2, please say aye.
Aye.
2. All those opposed? Nay.
Nay.
Nay. Any abstentions? Okay. Those fail. And the Austin Street lot itself, all those in favor of reducing that from VC3 to VC2, please say aye.
Aye.
1. All those opposed? Nay.
Nay.
That's 7. Okay, so that's 1 to 7. Okay. How are we doing? We gotta go across the pike, and we've got but nobody proposed anything for Star Residence. Yeah, we're all done on this side.
I'm giving you the VC3 then.
And for Trio.
Well, the trio was only 100 feet in.
Anyway. Okay, so we have a proposal to downzone those 3 lots at the far east from VC3 to VC2. Councilor Wright, you want to speak to that?
Again, well, the Washington Street Vision Plan wanted, 4 stories, and that's a transition to the neighborhood and the historic district across the street there. So right now, it's only, I think, 1 or 2 stories right now. And across the street, I think it's 3 stories. There's an apartment building right on Washington Street, and then it goes into houses. So you have 2.5 stories.
Is that Lowell Street over there?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Okay.
And that's the post office.
So it's the
Isn't there a gas station there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right,
And
this,
Post office?
this,
Yeah,
And that's a nail.
oh, and this,
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
you can hold it in when
yeah.
you put all 3 of them.
So, anybody else want to speak to this? Comments? Councilor Ryan? No? Yes, no.
These are the, I'm trying to make sure I know where the lots are.
The corner of Lowell Avenue and Washington Street.
Is that
Currently,
other one?
the gas station.
Right, so those
Behind it
two,
is church. Church. Yeah,
I'm sorry?
yeah. Just wanted to see the other one being proposed as a church.
Right, we're not there yet. We're just
Oh.
doing these 2 along Washington Street.
Oh.
So they're fronting Washington Street. Or should we do all 3 at once?
Yeah,
or-
do all 3.
Okay, all 3 at once. And so there's gas station and, oh gosh, go back and forth on the graphic. There's a large building behind, there's a house and then a large building behind the house.
Well, it's not this one, right?
No.
No.
This was not included, that's the church.
Right.
So it's this one, which is a house, yeah. And
Do we want to separate these or?
Yeah, separate them.
Okay, we've got the 2 parcels along Washington Street, which are a gas station. Currently at VC3, the proposal is to make them VC2. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
No,
no,
Councilor Baker, I'm sorry,
No, I said,
you said aye, so that's 2 to 6. And then the parcel behind it, which is a large home, that's surrounded by the church and other things.
3 family.
A 3-family. The proposal is to go from VC3 to VC2. Anyone want to say?
I would support that.
Okay, anybody else? Yeah, okay, ready to vote? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay, that's a yes. Then we have a proposal from someone to add the VC3 to the two lots behind, you can see the pointer behind the Washington Street lot, and to turn the entirety of that piece into VC3, so upzoning from VC3.
What are those two parts? It's now a parking lot.
Yeah, I think these parcels have actually been merged now, which is why.
And it's a parking lot for the post office.
Right now.
So, yeah, these were,
Houses and they got torn down.
The
yeah,
houses are torn down.
yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
So it's a post office in the park.
so who owns it now?
Mark Development.
Oh, okay, so
The post office has a very long lease on it.
a very long lease, okay, so it's a parking lot for the post office. Post office is VC3. Okay. All those, who proposed this? You okay?
I think it's, we can't split the zoning.
So we either need to
So-
change these to VC3 or change what's fronting Washington Street to VC2.
Oh, because it's all one owner now?
All one parcel now.
All one parcel now?
Yeah.
But not one owner?
Yeah, it's one owner too.
Oh, okay.
The issue is more the parcel, not the ownership.
It's all one parcel now, and the,
So it's 3 parcels, it's now 1.
Yeah.
Yes, does
Okay.
that also make it over 30,000?
Good
It's
question.
just under,
So you
Yeah.
can't, you're saying you can't, they can't be different zoning?
it cannot.
no, so we probably don't want to.
Okay, well then we're not gonna touch it then.
Well,
No, it will be if we don't do anything.
We have to do something to make it all one zone.
Either make it all VC3 or all VC2.
So we don't have another Charles Bank Road thing come before us.
Okay.
yeah. it's what happened after you
Oh, okay.
released the maps.
Okay, are we good? All those in favor of adding to the VC3 to make the one parcel consistent in its zoning, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
No,
Okay, one opposed.
I'm abstaining because I think they can still divide it, so. But I can look at this.
Okay, so we have 6.
I'm not,
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not, yeah, basically.
well, we're not okay, you're a no on this. You think the whole site should be VC2?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. So the vote is 5 in favor, 2 opposed, 1 abstention. Are you making a proposal or just voting no?
Just one.
Okay. Can we see the larger map? I think there's more to do on the Washington Street side. So between Walnut Street. We're facing Walnut Street, opposite, Trio. That site, we have a proposal from Council Wright, I presume?
Yep.
Are we ready to vote?
Yeah, which building is that?
That, I believe, is where
It's the office building.
the lawyers are.
Yeah.
The lawyers are?
Yeah, that, it's a pretty good size building.
That one?
Good size building, yeah.
Probably not going anywhere for a while, but there it is. So the proposal is to downzone it from that building, thank you.
Yeah.
3 stories now.
Yeah. Probably not going anywhere for a long time, but long term, do we want this to be
So VC2 would be what it is right now.
right? All those. Okay, so the proposal is to knock it down from VC3 to VC2. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That's 2 opposed.
No,
No. That's 6, right? Okay. And moving over, remind me the name of that street behind it?
Central.
Central, thank you. And those 2 parcels are, it's like parking. Who owns those?
Verizon
Verizon?
owns one.
Oh, so they're not owned by
Right.
Jason.
Yeah, Verizon owns
They
both.
own both of them?
Yeah,
They're not giving them up.
Oh,
I thought it was parking for the business for the.
No.
so these are just pretty much empty parcels that nobody uses?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. So there, we go back to the graphic, thank
Yeah.
you, sorry.
oh boy.
It's fine, you're fine.
So the one is transitioning to the MRT, to, not MRT, but to, residential.
I'm sorry, can we wait till we get to, back to the graphic?
Yeah. It's breaking out.
Are we making it too much work?
I think so. So these two right here.
Are owned by Verizon.
Yeah.
And our parking lots.
Robin K is still with us. Okay, so we're on Central Ave and the two parcels on the west side of it, the proposal is to go from VC two. VC3 to VC2, all those in favor, please say aye.
I,
I,
Okay, 1, 2.
Those are, but they're, I just want to clarify, we kept the other parcel. These would be, this would still be VC3.
Correct.
Opposite of VC3 on the other side.
Yeah,
I'm not persuaded yet that that's logic on that narrow street, because there's not an abutter that's affected in the same way. So that's why I'm not.
okay, so I have 2 in favor. And all those opposed?
No.
Nay. And 6 opposed. Okay. Here's all this, Jacqueline.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So now we have some parcels along Washington Street proposed again. That go all the way back to the adjacent, to the parallel street. So there's 3 parcels. In the government, right?
Mhm.
And it looks like they're all taken up by one owner. Is that right? Am I looking at that correctly?
There's 2 that are this order and then the one in the corner.
The one on the corner is different? Oh, I see. Okay, can we take these up as a group? They're all fronting Washington Street. Building on the left is a pretty good sized building. And then things taper down, lots of parking. We take these together? Proposal is to again go down from VC3 to VC2.
Green is MRT next.
The green is MRT. Do you want to look at what's there?
Yep.
Okay.
So one of the lots closest to Washington Street that's a MRT is a BU building or BU zone, even though it's being used as residential. So they don't get the VC3, the step down and all that does not apply to them because they are zone BU, even though it's used as a residential.
Are you talking about this
Yeah.
parcel right
Yeah.
here? So 15 Beach Street.
The BU2, so all that 50 feet and 300 feet. So instead, they're gonna have a 5-story building with the front setback of 10 feet. With it within 15 feet or not even that, how many feet?
20
from
feet.
20 feet?
We expanded the setback to 20 feet a couple of meetings ago.
Okay.
Councilor Preston.
I have a little bit of sympathy for the, what looks like a parking lot on Port Street. To potentially use that as transition from VC3 to VC2 down into the residential portion.
That's that parking lot on Beach Street. And which parking lot are you talking
On
about?
On
Court
Court.
Street.
Oh, on
Okay.
Court Street, okay.
We
That's
wanna-
all part of the car lot.
Right, but if it all gets developed, that's pretty close.
But it's
to
a
the
parcel, so
Yeah.
he's suggesting having 2 different zones.
Yeah.
Should we separate?
Sure.
Okay, the large parcel with the building in it. The proposal is still to take that one and go from VC3 to VC2. All those in favor, please say aye.
I,
That's 1. All those opposed?
No.
no,
That's 7. And then if we take the other parcels separately, right there. And the proposal is to go from VC 3 to VC 2. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, so that's 8-0. That becomes VC 2. On the corner of Washington and whatever that street is, there's a small parcel and it is obviously contiguous with the large lot on Washington Street, and it looks like Beach Street. And it is adjacent to multifamily housing. Okay. Counselor Lucas,
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with your votes on the larger car dealership lot and the small lot in the back that borders Court Street. For the Cabot's building, I would support VC2 for the same reasons why we did VC2 at the other lot in the rear.
okay,
And across the street from there is all VC2 going down the rest, Washington Street.
okay, can we see the graphic again? Thank you. Okay, all those in favor that the small lot on the corner changing from VC 3 to VC 2, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
1 no,
No,
2 no's.
Would you repeat what we're voting on?
That tiny lot on Washington Street on the corner of Beach Street is proposed to go from VC 3 to VC 2.
That's Cabot's, I should.
It's Cabot Ice Cream.
Yeah.
And so, obviously VC 3 now, and across the street is VC 2. So
I think it is really free.
I'm gonna take this vote again, guys.
So an I is the down zone.
Yeah, an aye is to down zone. All those in favor of reducing from VC 3 to VC 2, that one lot, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, I can't. Can you raise your hands? Okay,
You got the number.
that's 5. All those opposed, please say nay. That's 3. Okay. All righty. Big picture on Newtonville. Have we nailed it?
That's it.
All right. Where do we go from here? Sorry, no can do. I would like to do something outside of the, the transit districts. How about if we, I don't know, do we want to cross town and do something like Thompsonville? Or do we want to, or something like, Woburn, or something like Upper Falls? Upper Falls, let's do Upper Falls. Nothing, not much. And Upper Falls has been so happy with this.
Yeah, no one, so we can just go.
Let's
Oh,
go.
nobody wanted any changes?
Yeah.
Oh, it's
No.
not.
There was, we added
Okay.
to the end in the general comments, there was particular buildings, the area council didn't want to see change. But there wasn't a clear proposal to down zone or.
There were no proposals that I received done, but I presented to them twice and I had 2 meetings with them. In the beginning, they were concerned about the large lots along the Greenway.
Yeah.
And when we added in the setback requirement from the Greenway, that made people happy, and also they understand that that would be a special permit anyway. So, and actually in our original zoning version 1, when we had VC 1 and VC 2 and VC 3, they wanted it to, that one is the one, but we don't have that anymore. So
We're good.
as my understanding, and they can take it up with me if anybody's listening, or they'll have a meeting tomorrow night or some night soon. We can still talk about it, but anybody have any proposals to modify any of this? Nope. Okay, here we go. We're all set with Upper Falls. Wonderful. How about Four Corners? We did not finish we did not do Four Corners. And then we can go back to across town and do Weston. So Four Corners.
It's a one proposal to add some MRT.
Say again?
There's one proposal to add some MRT.
Yes.
Just off of Warner.
So Who wants to, take up the MRT? Not anybody here, is there anybody here?
Can you show us the picture of what it is?
Yep.
Yeah.
There's
Well, it's Eagles offices, but it's behind it.
there's no business,
Yeah.
two family.
We're making the computer do a lot of work tonight.
Two family home in BU two. And it's a single family home in BU two,
That's Brentwood, right?
Yeah.
on Brentwood, Walnut and Brentwood,
Okay, so the two facing Walnut Street,
58 and 60 and 54.
So they're facing Brentwood. I don't think there was a
Oh.
proposal
Yeah.
for the ones
Yeah.
facing Walnut, just
Gotcha.
the ones
I'm
behind
facing
those.
Brentwood. So, is anybody gonna claim that? If there's no proposal on the table, I'll assume we're not doing it. Okay, that's done. There's also a proposal, let's see. Done with MRT. So there's proposals to upzone MRT to VC two. Right next to that, that is actually where Siegel Structural Engineering is and another office building.
The synagogue.
And the synagogue too, okay. And, so those are offices, but they're small buildings. And but they're across from the old the Walgreens, not the old Walgreens. New Walgreens. New Walgreens, newer anyway. Okay, so is anyone gonna claim this proposal?
Councilor Bowman.
Councilor Bowman? Unmute Councilor Bowman?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Sorry.
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Sorry, new computer. So we did make this proposal, and I guess the question was, it's proposed to be MRT, is that correct?
Yes.
And so the use today is an office building. I think it's quite fine for it to be used in that way. MRT wouldn't allow it to be used in the way that it's used today. So I think these two properties and the two prior, I had raised my hand but didn't get to it quick enough, were more to say, let's make the zoning match what is how the properties are being used today, because we think how they're being used today works well for them. So these two properties should be zoned so that it could be a business use. So that was the proposal, to make them VC2. And then the two properties that you passed on earlier, I'd like you to reconsider taking them back up. I wanted them to be considered to be
Transition.
MRT, because it would be a transition to the residential that's right there rather than it be BU.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's right. I agree with that.
Okay. Yes,
Well,
Councilor?
using this logic, if we zone according to what it's used, there's those other houses and lots that are zoned BU that should then be zone MRT. So, I mean, if we use this logic, that's what we should be doing on those other lots, not just these
No.
lots.
So I'm willing to give up the two that I suggested to be MRT, but I definitely feel like we shouldn't be down zoning a business use.
So this is actually a good place for VC1, I think. And I mean, we're not using it, but it's still there and available. And it, and it can then be business and it has a bigger footprint. I think it would be good for VC1.
I disagree with that. I think that they need to go to VC2.
Just want to say that I think Councilor Ryan has a very good point about those buildings in Newtonville that are zoned, that are residential, that are zoned business. Perhaps they ought to become MRT. It's something we should think about going back to at some point.
So-
But across the city where you have homes in business districts right on Washington Street?
Were they on Washington?
They were abutting it, yeah.
Some are on Washington.
Oh.
Go ahead, yeah. All right. Well, we're not there now, we're here,
I know.
and the motion is to
Change that
change
to.
from MRT to VC2. They have been commercial uses for a long time, but of course they're small buildings, so Ready
But
to
they
vote?
can stay commercial. It doesn't mean, you know, you get to choose what.
I
you want
understand,
or-
I think we all understand that, so, are we ready to vote?
Yes.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That's three.
Oh, five.
Oh, four, five, okay, that's five, all opposed,
No,
and abstentions? Counselor Ryan? Did you
I
vote?
voted yes.
Oh, you did, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, so that's 6-2. And in favor. The, now, there's a VC2, it's a site that has a long tail on it. That's behind the VC2 properties on Beacon Street,
What's there now?
Apartment building
an apartment building.
that has access. Yeah, it takes access from Beaconwood down here, but the building is up
How big is the site?
90,000.
Okay, so it's a special permit and it's not gonna, nothing's gonna happen there for a million years.
And what's the proposal to do what with it?
To make it BC2.
Make it BC2.
from MRT.
So who made this proposal?
That was Ward 6.
No, I don't think so.
Did we make this?
That might have been a proposal that Maria.
No.
Okay,
Okay,
I think we went through that and,
and your reasoning was?
well, it would be a good site for additional housing. But it's.
there's more housing on it now than would be allowed by MRT, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay,
And it's not really a business district there.
no, it's isolated.
Yeah,
There are 21 apartments there. Well, it could be just a
but it's,
residential building.
yeah.
Or-
it's abutting a bunch of capes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's already built.
Yeah, right now in 2 stories, but if you do VC2, that can be 4 stories.
Nothing's gonna happen on
Three and a
that
half.
tail.
3.5 foot, 20-foot setbacks.
And those are all very small, low, single-story homes. It's abutting.
So, it doesn't make sense to zone it MRT because you know, there's more housing on it now than that would allow. I mean, it's, I don't know why we.
Yeah, I mean, we could take it out,
Leave it out.
might be the better option.
Yeah.
Okay, take it out.
Counselor Leary,
That's fine.
okay, so there's a motion from Counselor Leary to amend that to be, taken out of the VCOD.
Yes.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
8-0. Correct me if I'm wrong. I heard everybody. Okay, then. So that's not a
Wait, that,
yes.
that's not.
Yeah, I think we,
It's
Yeah,
a
I
black,
need to
it's a,
take it.
it's a black, Y, so that's remove.
It's a
Sorry.
what?
maybe add a
I-
little.
Maybe say
Yeah, YR or something like that.
Remove.
Yeah, the letters are colored per the district, so if it was remove.
I see, so it's a
Yeah.
black, so we
but I will-
propose
I
to
will
remove
put-
it.
I will put
Okay.
a black out.
Got it, all right, it's out. All right, folks, let's go to, I think there's a tiny lot on Beacon Street that someone is proposing to add as a VC2. It's a residential lot. Who's claiming this?
This is the property owner.
Yeah, he went for a BRT for I think 5 or 6 units on that lot right now. I think that's what he's doing, proposing.
Okay, so this is right next to the Whole Foods.
And
Um,
the aqueducts.
Okay, somebody want to move it?
What he wants it to be, what is it now? That's all?
It's a.
It's not.
It's not in the
Oh, he wants it to be
VCOD.
included.
He wants it to be included because it, where it is, I guess.
And
And what's next to it?
The aqueduct and Whole Foods.
Oh, okay,
I'll move it.
yeah.
Okay, Counselor Danberg moves upzoning that to be contiguous with the rest of the VC2 to VC2, including it in the district. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much.
And we go up to, in case we're gonna move along, those 2 lots up top that
You want
we,
to go back to them?
yeah, I'd like to go back to those. That we suggested become MRT. Did we-
the vote failed. I forget what the vote was.
We can take it out.
Oh, we didn't take it up.
We didn't
Right,
take it up.
we didn't take it up.
Let's-
Do you
I'd like
want
to
to
take
propose
those
to
up.
take it up?
And I
Okay.
would, yes,
Took
I
it out.
propose to make the amendment.
I thought we voted it.
Yeah, we voted
Did we
it.
vote that?
No.
No, we did not
not
vote it.
Oh,
We decided
no
not.
one- No one brought it up.
No,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
made
no,
it.
We just voted, and we didn't vote it in part because we hadn't yet included the BC2 parcels right next to
I
it.
understand. So now we have a motion to amend. So the motion is to amend by adding to the district 2 lots in the, as MRT. Ready to vote?
Yes.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Abstaining.
1 abstention,
Yeah, two.
2 abstentions. Okay.
It's the uncertain.
All right, let's go to the proposal to upzone the central area of Newton Four Corners from VC2 to VC3. Counselor Wright, before you go, is there someone who wants to take responsibility or propose this? Who proposed this?
This might have been the building professional group.
Okay.
Somebody sent me-
And so Allison, was that you and Maria or not?
No.
Or if you don't want to take.
I don't even remember exactly.
Right.
Yeah, Walgreens, a parking lot,
Mobile station.
a
Yeah.
mobile station
And Whole Foods,
and Whole Foods.
part of Whole Foods.
Construction now, right?
Yeah, some of this is, this, and
Yeah,
some of these
this one.
places are pretty large or new construction, but others.
Right,
not.
one of them is, yeah.
Okay, so Counselor Wright, you had something to say?
So this is Four Corners. This isn't Newtonville. It's not Newton Center, and I don't think VC3 is appropriate in this location. Thank you.
All right,
Nobody's moving anything.
Well, it's Ward 6. I think that could be upzoned to VC3. And so I will move it.
Are we talking all of it?
which lots? All of them?
Let's discuss, definitely the Walgreens, I think, would be, upzoned to VC3. The, gas station could be VC3. I think all of the corners could be VC3,
Well, if you do the Whole
And-
Foods, you'd have to take their whole lot.
their whole lot.
Or they're separate parcels,
There's
but
separate parcels.
Yeah,
There's
I
3.
would be okay with that. And, I think that I would be okay with what the, building group has, suggested.
I'm just wondering, the gas station does abut homes, right?
there are mostly new homes back there that have been
Yeah.
abandoned by special permit.
You cut-
Yeah.
I mean, look at you can do the distance.
Yeah.
To a 20-foot setback
Yeah.
plus within 50 feet, it has to be 3.5 feet. So,
Right.
so 3.5 stories, so 89,901, there's no portion of that you're gonna get 4.5 stories. In
Okay.
1090, the gas station, you can get a bit.
But it's zone
Let him
BU.
finish.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Are these zone? Yeah, these are zone business.
5-7 is business.
So 899 is the wine store, right?
Yeah.
The 5-7 is business.
So 5, 7, and 9, 11 is
Yeah.
business.
okay, folks, I think Counselor Krinsman,
I'm inclined to leave these VC2. I think this particular area is not really near transit of any sort. It's a lot closer to many residential areas. I think VC2 is perfect. I agree, Councilor.
thank you, and Counselor Ryan and then Baker.
And that, the Whole Foods, remember, the building itself, but
It's great.
I know it's being, a little bit redevelopment there on,
Low rise, so.
yeah,
Yeah, and
but, that big Whole Foods wall, but it used to be a two-family, I think, now there's a single residence. But, so I'm more inclined to go with 2.5. I mean, to go with,
VC2. Okay,
3.5.
All
I
right.
think I'm there too.
All right, if it's the will of the committee, then I'm okay with it. Yeah.
So, Counselor Baker?
Don't have to say anything.
I think, are you withdrawing the motion?
I'll withdraw.
Okay, then this is all going to remain right now VC two.
Is there a housing complex that we just gave a special permit to in this area?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How tall is that one?
4
I
stories.
think it's 4, 11, 14. They went through so many redesigns. I don't quite
Which is
remember.
BC too.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think it is 4 stories.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're done.
We're done.
I think we've finished Four Corners. So let's go to West Newton, challenge ourselves a little bit now. We have a lot of proposed amendments for West Newton. Well, you know what, we can do first, just to, actually, never mind, because it's Ward 4, I'm gonna wait for one. I was gonna do all Lower Falls, there's no proposed changes for Lower Falls.
I think we need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, let's go
But I
to
mean,
Lower
you got
Falls.
this-
Sorry,
Oh,
there's not a single proposed change that we got put before us for Lower Falls. It's all VC2.
Yep.
Does anyone have any problem with that? Are we accepting this as proposed? Yes, okay. All those in favor of accepting it as proposed? Aye. Okay, excellent, we're done.
So I just have a question now. We allow this village to be VC2, all VC2.
Lower
Why,
Falls.
Lower Falls?
Yeah,
Why can't we allow other villages to be VC2?
Just about 4 corners.
Okay,
And
yeah,
Falls.
anyways, just, okay.
Right now, no mansion's all VC two.
Yeah, which is good.
But there's proposals to change it,
but these are our smaller villages, so that's why.
Not
And,
right on
and Lower
transit.
Falls doesn't have public transit, so.
Yeah, but I'm.
And Lower Falls is mostly gonna be by special permit, because the lots are huge unless they're divided. But, those are, I think, the reasons. Okay,
So
West Newton. Starting from the outside in, we have proposals to expand the MRT district back beyond Webster Street. That would be on the west. Well, let's just say, who's claiming responsibility for this? Building professional group. Anybody want to propose to expand MRT in this direction?
what's there now? And are they all?
Single family homes and
The
some
Allen
two
House.
families.
And the Allen House.
Okay.
So we can show where the Allen House is.
But there's a lot of smaller homes in this area.
There's some two families.
There are some two families, but there's across from that Allen House of small homes.
Right.
I
mean, it's very walkable.
It's a development in scale with what MRT allows. I
Yeah,
think that'd be an apt overview.
so, I mean, MRT is intended to be walkable to a village center and, in scale though, with the buildings in the residential area. I understand why someone thinks, some people really like MRT and want to expand it.
So we didn't accept any expansion. In fact, we took out MRT in Newton Center and Newtonville area. I'm not Newton Center and the Highlands. So at this point in our zoning, I think we shouldn't be expanding it. We're beyond our 8330. If we took all the VC3 down to VC2, we still would be meeting the 8330. So I don't think.
I think we all understand this.
Okay.
I think we haven't, nobody's
Okay.
moving it yet, so,
Okay.
and I'm not hearing anyone jumping on the table, so, so I think if we don't have a motion for any of this VC, MRT expansion north of Webster Street, I think we're done.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Then there's no proposed changes to the MRT along the south side of Webster Street. And I think that's it for MRT. Oh, no, there's,
Except for the
so
church.
across the pike.
We had every proposal for.
So there's 3 proposals for the lot across the pike.
What line is that?
That's the church.
The church.
Oh.
Is that church? I don't think it's landmarked.
It's
but-
not landmark, but they have a lot of restrictions on their building.
Which church?
Is one of the proposals from God?
Second church.
Yeah,
Depends who the
representatives
crowd
of Second Church requested VC3.
So the thing is, the church itself, which is on the upper part of that lot, there's a lot of restrictions that they have themselves on it. It's also on a big hill. So the lower part along the pike is much lower.
Can we take this back for a second? And can I hear from who is proposing what here? There's a proposal for MRT, there's a proposal for VC2, there's a proposal for VC3. Is there any counselor here or online who is proposing?
I propose BC3.
You propose VC3?
Yep.
Okay.
So the reason why is that whole lot would not be VC3, only right along the pike. And it is on a hill, and so it won't be as big as it seems compared to the neighbors up the hill. And they can only develop, because of the restrictions on that church, they can only develop that part of the
And the
lot.
parish requested VC3
Yes.
as well, and
Yeah.
you're fine with it? You
Yeah.
think it's a good idea?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I want to agree with Pam.
I see. Okay, we have Councilor Maliki would like to speak on this one.
I don't want to take you off track. I just wanted to point out that when we get to Border Street, there are a couple of, or a section of MRT that is included in the Border Street area that I want to remove because it's a flood zone. Thank you.
Okay, but we're on this one right now, and we will get there. So when we get there, we will talk about it. So the first proposal on the table is to change this lot south of the pike to VC3, where the church is, and that's, sorry. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna comment that, I know we haven't gotten to Woven yet, but there's a similar thing happening with the churches there, so it does make sense to rezone it as something. And if the church themselves is asking for VC3, that's worth considering here. Because it would potentially allow more types of uses and activities on the site that can help it continue to be a church and continue to be preserved.
What happens to all those houses on Hillside Terrace? They're abutting it.
It's residential, but there is a hill.
So they're not gonna be, they could do VC3 and still not look large in comparison to those houses.
I don't know if you ever come down Chestnut Street, that hill is.
Yeah.
It's very steep.
Yep. Okay, are we ready to vote?
Yes.
All those in favor of upzoning the church lot with all of its various restrictions from, and included in the VCOD as a VC3, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I'm just gonna stay to the whatever restrictions you want to do.
Okay, we have one abstention, so it's 7-1 abstention. And we're done with that side of the pike. Alrighty then, so
Should we go back to the MRT?
there,
Is it this portion right
Yeah,
here?
Border Street, yeah. Because I have been
Yeah.
talking to you because of, should Border Street actually be upzoned because of the severe issues of flooding?
let's just talk about that for a minute, because Councilor Malachi's proposal is all about where the flood zone is. And so there's the MRT and the
Yeah.
VC2 along there. I'm getting dizzy with it.
Sorry, give me 1 second. Look away for a second.
I'm trying. A lot of moving around up there. Okay, so, is this what we want to be looking at?
This is the topography along Border Street. So I did look back at the MBTA guidelines as well as talk to Jennifer Steele, our conservation planner. And this would qualify as a sensitive area. It's not automatically an excluded area. It would be considered a sensitive area because it is prone to flooding. And the guidelines do recommend just being cautious with rezoning sensitive areas and really thinking about the impacts. Jennifer Steele had concerns with rezoning this to allow for more development here, given the severity of the flooding. And that this might be an area they're looking to update as part of the floodplain ordinance updates. Her recommendation was if we sort of picked a contour, her recommendation was, I think, about 45 and sort of follow that around or 46 and exclude everything along there. So that would generally take out what is along Border Street, but keep what's fronting Elm Street. And once you get to the other side of this Border Street here, you're much higher. So it steps up to 50 here. But you can see from the topography, Border is very flat, and then it steps up significantly to Webster.
Thank you. Would it be possible to trace that line and see what properties it entails?
And there's no solution right now to all this flooding. And Councilor Maliki was there, I think the last time was like knee deep in our last, and it floods once or twice a year.
You know, my first, one of my first jobs when I was in architectural school was with Energy Works, which is on Border Street in the building that's still there amazingly. Because it's pretty dilapidated. And I worked there for several years and that never happened. So
it happens now.
I know we have this, you know, increasing amount of intense rainfall that we're getting.
And Councilor Maliki can maybe talk to the problem at the end of Border Street, which is with the MWRA, and nobody is gonna owe up to making a feasible solution for this.
So,
So you would leave out all of the things that are in the black?
that's a lot.
Yeah, that's
Until they can fix it, and they don't have any plans for it.
You know, one of the things why Border Street floods is it's all paved. I mean, it's huge parking lots, it's all paved.
But it's not part of it. Julia, can you talk to?
Be happy to, and if I'm gonna try to scoot over to the side so you can see if you can put it on speaker, I've overlaid a 1892 map from the city website called Areas Requiring Drainage over the current Border Street, and the yellow cross hatching is the area I want to take out. So basically the issue is that Cheesecake Brook, which goes under, it gets culverted up by Warren House and McGrath Park. It is literally going underneath Border Street, as you can see in the map behind me. It's culverted under the length of Border Street. When it hits Elm Street, it's like an 8x8 culvert. It's constricted by about half because it goes under an MWRA water pipe, and DPW. It's flooded since I've been in in the city council. I wasn't really aware of it before. It flooded in 2020, it flooded in 2021, it flooded in July and August this year. Basically, it happens when there's, basically 1.5 to 2 inches of rain in a short period of time. It's constricted by about half the width when it goes under the MWRA pipe. DPW, they've had consultants looking at it. They've talked to the MWRA. MWRA does not want to move their water pipe. What a surprise. So they have no solution for it. The most recent flooding, I guess it was August 8, when we got 2.77 inches of rain in Newton. That's when I was wading knee deep in the water. The same day, Billerica got 7 inches, Needham got 6 inches. As I mentioned at a recent Conservation Commission meeting about the new countryside school, it's just dumb luck that we in Newton have not gotten a 6-inch storm. It's coming, we're going to get it. And, if not 10 years, 20 years, whenever. If this were not already covered, we wouldn't be allowed to build here.
Councilor Maliki, we get the point where we can't discuss this item this thoroughly tonight. So I guess
my point is that we would not be allowed to build here if this were it wants to be basically in a perfect world, we would, you know, buy out the property owners and turn it into a forested area that could flood like Dolan Pond because it wants to flood, just like Cheesecake Brook down in Alabama.
Okay,
They don't have
okay.
a solution.
Okay.
They have consultants, they have no solution. They don't know what to do.
So sometimes appropriate redevelopment actually improves things, because we have this stormwater ordinance now, and we can include pervious surfaces and keep water on. I mean, there's other things. I don't think
There's
that
also ways to build.
saying no development at all is the solution. I mean, the way it is now, unless you want to do something about all those parking lots, and the owners want to get together and make some significant stormwater improvements, they could do that. So is that gonna happen?
It's coming from further up. I would suggest if you think there's ever going to be a solution, that's the point at which we could consider rezoning. If somebody comes to us with a great idea, that's the point we could consider rezoning.
Okay, thank you. I think
This, we would be basically treating the
Mhm.
future residents
Yeah.
of this area like we
Councilor
treated the
Maliki,
people in
Councilor
the
Maliki,
library parking lot.
Councilor Maliki, we don't want to argue about the engineering of this, but I think we need to be able to move forward with what we understand. This is a flood prone area. Get that. Understand that Jennifer Steele is concerned about more development in the area. Get that. These are all privately owned parcels who, you know, could decide to sell tomorrow, whether we rezone it or not. Some development could happen here. So what does the planning department recommend we consider with respect to this area at this point, with respect to the proposed zoning? And I think the point, we understand the point that we have a stormwater ordinance, and so that we have really strict requirements about managing stormwater. If developers don't think it's possible to do that here, they're not gonna buy.
So, you know, we initially included this because I think flooding aside, this is a great location for housing and mixed use development. You're right off the core of the village center, you're close to the train. I do think it falls into an area where we should really be thoughtful about whether it's included or not. It's currently, I think much of this is currently manufacturing. So there isn't a whole lot you can do today. Now, I have a lot of respect for Ms. Steele, and she, soon as I mentioned Border Street, had concerns. This is one of the areas in the city she has the most concerns about with flooding. She agreed it's a great spot for housing, and which is why we dove a little deeper to see is there anything here that maybe still is appropriate. She felt pretty confident that this probably shouldn't be included and may ultimately end up as part of floodplain ordinance, have further restrictions on it.
Okay.
So I'm okay with removing it. I do agree that stormwater, it's hard because the stormwater ordinance, maybe if we did see development here, maybe there'd be a bit of improvement for the stormwater ordinance. But it really is kind of in a depression and pretty flat. So I think it's hard to overcome. some of
So
the
maybe it needs
topographic-
its own zoning.
Maybe, or further study.
Yeah.
Okay, so the purple area is proposed as VC2 right
Oh,
now?
sorry, let me go back. This is the existing zoning. That's it's all manufacturing right now.
Manufacturing, okay.
Yep. Yeah, come back over here.
Go back.
So it's proposed as VC3 on the south side and VC2 on the north side. And then by the time it gets to MRT, you're actually a good bit higher, because I think that is.
So if we take it out of the district, we wind up with a giant pool. And then the stuff that's
I think
on,
you keep Elm and what's fronting Elm and which
is
on
new.
Washington.
keep what's fronting Elm.
Yeah, those are a little higher, but if you keep,
We were say to remove.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
When I draw a black line around what essentially would you just marked up, you completely fall into the, I think it's the 46.
yeah.
Maybe this
And
area
so we're
needs
gonna
further
leave it
study.
as, right now it's mixed, it's manufacturing something else.
It's mostly manufacturing right now.
Okay.
So the proposal is not to do anything at all,
to remove those.
So they would drop out of the.
Yeah.
of the system completely.
I think we should consider further study for that.
Yeah,
But not as part of this project.
yeah, no.
And I am aware that Council Leary is putting, a review of this, stormwater strategic plan on the agenda
Yeah.
in public facilities, and I think many of us have areas of the city we want to discuss at that meeting, given the last storm and recent storms, so sounds like we have a good recommendation for taking this out of the VCOD. Yes. Council Malachi, raise your hand again.
I would, if you go back to my map in the in my memo, I think it goes a little farther than you do.
You're agreeing not to do something.
We're not doing
Going a little
I
farther.
think Council Malachi is wanting to expand the area, am I correct?
The
Yes.
the flood risk area extends further west.
I'm sorry, I can't hear Council Malachi.
Sorry, the peanut gallery here is over here.
All right, Council Malachi,
Yeah, the flood zone area extends further west to the trapezoid there, the blue outline trapezoid.
Oh, this one here?
Yeah.
Well, right now, that's not in the VCOD. So you're talking about adding those two MRT.
Okay, that was somebody else's addition. So yeah, just if you just don't add that, but it also, yeah, but it extends into the southernmost MRT areas.
Yeah. That outline 10 parcel is at a 50-foot contour.
Yeah, so that's a good bit higher than the rest of the border.
But it still floods.
okay, motion to remove this area from the VCOD until further study. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's unanimous, thank you very much. So. So I think we're gonna talk about the VC2 areas now. We have some proposals to the far west to add VC2. Is anyone taking ownership of that?
Where did that come from, do you know?
Building professional? Maybe?
Is that the MBTA lot?
Not yet, no, MBTA lot is proposed as VC3.
Okay, so I just want to see what that is.
Yeah.
Not a lot, that's the area, as I remember it, but others might want to weigh in, that's where the Washington Street study at one point thought additional development would be appropriate. So just like on Route 9, we have proposed that the Washington Street corridor be studied further in the future. And so there were areas outside of the villages we weren't going to touch at this point, which may or may not deserve more development than what we are proposing to do now, because we're limiting to 4.5 stories. And it may or may not, but so those lots, I think, could be taken up as part of the Washington Street corridor study to sort of knit together the whole area.
I think that makes more sense, because I don't know what to do with that.
Most of them are used as residential zoning, but they're not all zoned.
I think this area here along Webster, right, is
Yeah,
residential, but then
homes.
you get into more manufacturing, office.
So if we don't have anyone proposing an amendment, any counselor proposing an amendment on these properties, I'm going to assume that the VC2 proposed for expanding the district is not on the table. And then we have the proposal for VC3 over the MBTA lot, the commuter rail. And I would suggest the same thing perhaps applies, but does anyone want to propose this amendment?
I would propose it to be for VC three. I mean, it is a MBTA parking lot right now, right? But I think it should be a parking lot for West Newton. But it could keep the parking and still build. Yeah, and it's not gonna be really impacting residential.
It's a very large lot and it would require a special permit in any case, so.
How big is the lot?
Sorry?
I don't know, it's not actually I don't think it's actually a parcel per our assessing information.
So the question is, do we really want to add this to this phase or wait for the study? It's not that it's not appropriate to consider development there, it's just.
I'll wait for the study then, if that's what my
It is-
colleagues think.
It is sitting right there on the pike and
Right there.
so BC three could work there.
Yeah, but
But
maybe
how,
more.
how do we designate it? If it's not in the study area, in that black study area, how do we make sure that we include this in the? Study?
Is there a
Well, the
reason that
study is
this,
for the entire corridor someday,
Oh.
starting next year.
Okay.
is this-
Sorry, Council Baker. Go ahead.
Well, I guess the question is, Council Leary wanted to do this, is this? Is this an appropriate place for VC three that doesn't really affect anybody? I mean, there's,
Right now, it's just a big heat island.
it just seems to me that, if there's. A bunch, I'm skeptical of VC three generally, but if there's a place it could go where it doesn't really. Affect anybody in the neighborhood, this seems to be a site, wouldn't it be it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when, it's just a question of whether or not we want to.
Categorical, but not completely. So this might be a place that.
Is there any reason why we, is there any reason why we can't study it and move it to VC three now? Put it in study even though it's in VC three?
You could make it VC three now, we could revisit it as part of Washington Tree
Yeah.
Corridor if we
Okay.
create.
We have a motion on the table, but I have two people who want to speak. I'm going to call Councilor Bowman first.
Thank you very much. So I would say two things is I can think of nothing worse. I mean, unless we're prepared to change the loop and the way that the Mass Pike is putting a building in the middle of an exit ramp seems, especially one that has as many crashes as that one has, feels wrong. And I get that the access goes under. I am familiar with this lot. The second is I do think that MassDOT has some plans for this lot. Some discussion has been made as to whether or not this might be an appropriate place for the state to provide charging, overnight charging for large vehicles, including school buses. So I think you might want to think about that before, for those two reasons, but thank you.
The MBTA owns the lot, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Correct. But MassDOT has been trying to find a location for regional school bus and large vehicle charging. So I believe this is one of the sites that had been under consideration. But again, I think the bigger issue is why would we want to build the building in the middle of a big loop like that? It just feels bad. So I don't know.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you. And I'm going to call on Councilor Kelly next, and who hasn't spoken, and then I'll go to Councilor Maliki.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I understand what Councillor Bowman is saying, but I think it's sometimes presumptuous of us to say where we don't think is an appropriate location for other people to live. I would tend to support rezone, putting this in VC3, given the potential, but I think looking at it and certainly thinking about what's going to happen with DOT, their plans. I mean, there are a couple of things have been being fielded about this location and others along the pike. But I think given, as Councillor Baker said, the impact that this has, that very little impact it would have on almost anybody else is a reason to think about putting it into VC3. So though I'm not on your committee, I think that it is definitely something worth you guys considering tonight. Thank you.
Whatever zoning it is, the MBTA doesn't care.
Right. Counselor Maliki?
I don't think anything's
Okay,
gonna happen.
folks. Counselor Maliki?
Yes, so Councillor Bowman's comments reminded me of two things. I remember when the pillar house was removed from the exit ramp looping around from 128 because the state didn't want it there. And I'm also reminded that we don't have a long-term place to park our school buses, which hopefully will one day be electric. So the thought of a electric charging station for buses seems appealing for that reason too. And you might also want to check with Jennifer Steele about this area. I don't exactly know where it fits on the 1893 map of areas in need of drainage, but it might coincide with that too. Thanks.
Okay, are we ready to vote? Oh, this is Counselor Ryan.
Question and clarification for me. So even though the T owns it, we can still include it in our map for MBTA use in our overlay.
Well, it's too big of a lot, so it doesn't.
It's not gonna count towards our unit capacity because it would require a special permit, but it is a good question. It doesn't show up as a parcel for us. There are other lots the MBTA owns that show up as actual parcels. This one, I'm not sure if this is just all part of the Pike right of way, or if there is parcels created here.
Well, we can have it.
We can add something that MBTA owns to our zoning. I don't know if there's a parcel to zone here, though. This might be right of way.
So we're spending a lot of time.
Yes, I know. I'm inclined to say no here for now.
Okay, I'm not gonna fall on my sword on this one.
So are you withdrawing the amendment or should we vote?
I mean, whatever we zone, I don't think we.
Why not vote zone it if we can?
Or not?
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Just sort of a contingent zone it if possible, and if not, then it comes out.
Yeah. we'll leave it and move on.
Okay, so the motion is to change it to VC3, to include it in the
Yeah.
district and change it to VC3. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay.
Abstaining.
Yeah. Abstaining? Yeah. No, I think I'm gonna join you. I'm abstaining too.
How many times do I vote for VC3?
Now that we're keeping it out there, so much we don't know about this parcel. Okay, folks, we have again, and I believe it's mostly Council Wright. And we will have to take these inspections, proposal to downzone most of the VC3 in West Newton Center to VC2.
Again.
I don't think we're gonna get the award for knowledge. That's a bigger.
I don't think so.
So should we let them know if they're hanging around?
They're not, I don't believe they're here,
Okay.
except for Councilor Crispin, who has to stay here anyway.
We're not letting.
Your sentences.
And you know, we decided to go till midnight tonight, so never mind.
Well, you can.
Hi, just for the record, Council Gentile is here. I've been here a while.
Oh, good, you have joined us. I don't believe we're going to get to Auburndale tonight. We're making some decent progress, but we have an hour to go. Probably not more than that. No, I think we gotta get, okay, so let's see, we have amendments proposed by Council Wright, and how about we go from, say, west to east?
So just in general, the Washington Street Vision Plan, again, especially in the village center, which was voted upon, agreed upon, and the residents seem to accept, was 4 stories. And so that's the main reason why I'm doing, proposing 4 stories along Washington Street in the village center here. Or VC2.
And so can we take this? Is there- Sorry?
VC2 is 3.5 stories.
Yeah, 3.5 versus 4.5.
The total height is the same thing though, which is 4
Okay,
stories.
let's just be accurate in our description. So, do you
Well,
want
actually, if we want to be accurate, the Washington Street Vision Plan 4 stories are lower than what we're proposing here,
That's
but
fine.
that's being accurate.
We're not, we did not approve zoning based on the Washington Street Vision Plan. And the plan showed us 3 to 6 stories along the corridor. A cartoon style diagram.
Outside of the
I
village center.
understand, but we really dug a lot deeper here.
Okay.
So, and let's not, let's just go forward. Do you want to take these in sections? Like, do you feel more strongly about some than others? We do have a very significant church on one of the parcels, for example.
I feel strongly on these two on all of this, so. There's one section that I did leave as VC3, but I feel strongly as VC2.
Does anyone on the committee want to parse this? Is anyone inclined to agree with downsizing some of this, but not all of this? Anyone want to speak to that?
1 or 3 councilors review.
We voted all at once. I'm sorry, Councilor Maliki?
Thank you. Let's see, 3 points. As Peter Bruce has been mentioning lately, there's a difference between the state's view of the sort of transit orientedness or capacity of commuter rail stations versus MBTA stations. So that would be one reason to not go kind of the whole hog here. 2, we've got unresolved traffic issues in West Newton Square. You know, there's another tweak and adjustment coming, but I'm already hearing reservations about how that's going to work out. So sort of intensifying the, density of occupancy here, which will, you yourselves admit, developers want to build parking, is going to exacerbate that. And 3, there are the 2 landmark buildings, the Railroad Hotel and the Robinson Block, which why are we even upzoning them? So those are my points. Thank you. I realize you're going to vote 6-2 against us, but just had to make the points.
Fine. Anyone else? And no one's interested in parsing this
I
out.
am, I'm interested, I'd like to know more specific reason.
Do you want to take it a block at a time? I mean, what do folks want to do? I mean, Council Wright wants to move the entire village center except for that one triangle of land.
Well, I'm not gonna support that, but if there's reasons why some parts should be down zoned to VC2, I'd be open to listening to it. But I'm not gonna just put everything to VC2.
Okay, can I then speak to it?
Yes.
So there are, again, uses of residential homes, but they're zone BU along Davis Ave.
Okay, that one I agree with. Where's David?
So there's 3 properties on Davis Avenue that are currently residential. And there
Great.
was a request from a resident
Yes.
to
Some of that.
downzone those parcels. First of all, the 3 parcels facing
These are facing the turnpike.
facing the pike.
Yeah.
Which have existed there for a century, approximately, to VC2. There has been that proposal.
Down just the parcels where the houses are.
Yeah. Yeah.
15, 19, 21, and 23.
But then the resident, I think, made another proposal. At least this is how I heard her in testimony, to downzone the entire block to VC2. Even though the Santander project that was given a special permit is already approved.
Yeah.
But
Which he has said is on hold
I know, but
because he's gonna join the other parcels with it.
well, we'll see.
Yep, parcels behind us, the parking lot.
There are 3 parcels. Look on the map on the screen. He's
Oh, yeah, there
outlined
it is.
one.
Yeah.
And the 2 to the right of that.
That's behind the Santander parking lot.
Yeah.
right?
That one.
Yeah.
And the next 2 to the right.
To the right.
east, are existing very old homes.
Susan. I would be in favor of down zoning those to BC2.
Okay,
How does that help those?
it doesn't really help them
No.
at all.
But what was the proposal that comes the homeowner? To just
That
remove
was
it
one
entirely?
proposal, and the other proposal was to downzone the entire block from from Highland
Movie
Street,
theater and
across from the church, all the way over to Chestnut Street.
Downzone to what?
BC2.
on in the middle of West Newton Square.
You know, these
I'm just
property,
talking about the facing, the ones facing.
I know.
Bay Street,
Yes.
facing the pipe.
right. It does not help them at all in terms of what could be developed around them if they choose to stay and not sell. the- It doesn't help them to downzone their lots to BC2.
It would lose value.
It gives them more value if it's zone
If it's
facing
facing
three.
right.
But if they want to stay there, they want to stay there, so I think, you know.
Some have been there for generations
Yeah.
in the house.
So, you know,
There were probably quite a bit behind.
I'm not sure that it gives them anything of use to downzone those 3 parcels. But that was one request, and the other, like I said, the other request that we heard at public hearing was that folks wanted to downzone the entire block, as does Council Wright.
Yep. Including the parking lot there. Those, the 2 lots on the parking.
Yes. And I imagine if we downzoned it, Santander project might. stay-
Nicholas,
I'm sorry?
Is that,
Somebody's
that was when, he's probably talking to his bill.
Oh.
The corner is the police station?
Yes.
Is that right?
Okay, so, Counselor Maliki, did you want to say again? You're just taking your hand down, okay.
Forgot to lower, sorry.
Got it, okay, thank you. So. Do we want to vote those separately or not? I'm looking at you, Counselor Leary.
You're saying that the BC2 wouldn't help them at all, but what did the resident, was that the request from the resident?
One of them,
And the other requests
it
were?
was from Sachiko Isahara.
Yeah.
But, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I would just, did anyone talk to her about it?
I think so.
Yeah. Did talk to her about it.
So is she more concerned about buildings going up around her?
Yes.
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 And they're zone BU, so they don't get the setbacks. So they'll get the 5 stories, 20 feet, is it 20 feet from the property line?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, folks, and we need
Peter
to-
Geringer.
Mr. Doringer, please go ahead.
Unmute.
Yes.
I'm unmuted, but I'm not getting my video.
Yeah.
There we go. I'm not sure that I had anything to say on this point, anything further.
Your hand up. We can see that there are technical difficulties.
Yes, there we
All right,
go.
no problem.
Thank you, I'm sorry.
So folks, are there any other sections of West Newton that you would like to describe, Counselor Wright, as particularly sensitive and wanting to perhaps parse out?
So along the Cheesecake Brook is abutting residential homes. And so that would be, I don't think they get, because the Cheesecake Brook, which isn't that wide there, maybe 8 feet, I don't think they get that buffer because it's not a residential. So they're gonna have 5-story buildings right up 10 feet from the property line.
So let's go to that section, because I see that the Dunstan East lots, which are going, as I understand it-
Residential.
Sorry,
Well, there are homes there on there. That's, the use is all homes except for the one on Dunstan. But all the stuff on Watertown Street and the east side of Dunstan, all the use there is residential homes.
Yeah, and it's all zoned residential.
But there's a separation of the Cheesecake Brook.
There isn't.
So that's considered budding. Okay.
Yeah, you see the zoning parcels go right up above each other here.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it doesn't over there where the river is, where it's
This
green.
tiny little piece here.
Is
That zone's public.
Is daylighted there?
Actually, that's.
Well, the whole thing is daylighted all along there.
But that's zoned public, and we said you need the buffer, I think, for, or the setbacks and step backs from public or residential. Zone, so it would still apply there.
Okay, does that change your mind, Counselor Wright?
No, I still want BC too, but my reasoning there has just kind of fallen down from your point of view.
Well, we always like it
Think of it.
straightforward, honest, you know. Okay, so the parcels that comprise the Dunstan East project are to the east of Dunstan Street,
Mhm.
all of that.
Yep.
That we know has a comprehensive permit, and even if it gets sold, is going to be built according to the comprehensive permit.
Yeah.
Is there
Next
any?
week, I think it's gonna be signed.
Great, you know, is there any reason, well, I'm gonna just say, okay, all those in favor of down zoning the VC3 in that whole couple of blocks that comprise Dunstan East from VC3 to VC2, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, nay,
Nay.
abstentions?
I just want to be clear that this, if we leave it, we get to count it, right?
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
though it's developed into something.
Correct.
I guess that's the reason I would not support it, simply because we're not going to change the fundamental use, but you actually get to count it.
You would get to count it, yes.
Yeah, but the thing is, if we down zone all the VC3 to VC2, we still make our numbers.
Well, I understand, but we may need that somewhere else, but it doesn't do any harm here, so that's why I think I'm gonna leave it.
Okay, so you're,
And I would not go in.
okay, so it's 1 to 7. Great, okay, I don't know, do we want to take all the rest or, okay, all the rest of what Counselor Wright is proposing in West
Oh,
Newton?
can I parcel off sweet tomatoes? And the 2 lots next to Sweet Tomatoes. I want to parcel that. VC2. And the reason why, first of all, Sweet Tomatoes, it is, thank to Councilor Malachy, landmarked, but it's a very small building there. I think it's 1.5 stories, about 1 stories, plus the other 2. So I would like to see a VC2, just the transition to this landmark building instead of having VC3 abutting it.
And then are we proposing these 2 parcels
Yeah.
as well?
Yeah, it kind of goes
So from
together.
Davis Court down to the
Okay,
intersection.
all those in favor of downzoning the triangle that includes the Sweet Tomatoes Historic Building to the next cross street, there's 3 parcels. Downzoning from VC3 to VC2, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay.
I'm gonna abstain on that.
Okay.
We have 1 abstention, so 5 to 2 to 1.
How about let's just do the Sweet Tomatoes building then?
Well, that's landmarked.
Okay.
You know, it would lower the count. It wouldn't hurt anything to downzone it, but what's the point?
We don't need the numbers for VC3.
We don't need the numbers. Do we want to downzone that 1 lot?
Yes.
Why?
Just take the vote.
With the numbers.
So we can have differences in buildings like this.
Well, it will
Yeah,
be
you get a
anyway.
variation.
It will be anyway, because that building's not gonna be changed.
Well, if it's not landmarked, I would do it, but since it is. Can you pick another building?
All right, is there a motion, Counselor Wright?
Yeah. let's just take
All
the
those
vote.
in favor of downzoning the
Sweet
the
Tomatoes.
Sweet Tomatoes building from VC3 to VC2, or, yeah, I guess so. Please say aye.
Aye.
I'm gonna say aye too, because throw you a bone.
Okay, I'll say aye too, because you know, what the heck? It's kind of silly because nothing's gonna change there.
Right, but
But-
that's true for almost every, okay, so that's 4, so.
Yeah, can we get a chance to say no?
Sorry. And all those against, please say nay.
No.
All right, there you go.
So
Well, 4 to 3.
Is it Bill? Okay, yep.
Okay, I'd like to do the gas station, which is on Watertown Street. That building there, because that's the entrance to, going into residential neighborhood. And downzone that to VC2, so there's a little bit of transition.
Is this what you used to believe?
No,
that's
the Shell station.
Oh, it's the shelter.
Yeah.
Yes, you sit there,
Street.
yeah. Me.
But this is on Washington Street.
No, it's on Watertown Street.
I'm sorry.
And it's abutting a park right there, and so you're just gonna get a lot more shadows onto the park and stuff too.
Okay, all those in favor of downzoning that one site from VC3 to VC2, please say aye.
Aye.
That's 3.
I'm gonna stay.
And 1 abstention, all those no,
No.
no. Okay, that's 4, no. Okay,
Is the building on the other side, is
This one?
is that one included in anything?
No,
Okay.
okay, I think we should just take the rest as a whole and move on, folks. Any objections?
Well, that one block of Davis Street. What if we were to make those 3 houses MRT in the middle of it, like that, and that would be weird. There wouldn't be enough room to do anything with the rest of the block, I guess.
No, that would really reduce their property values to substantially.
I know.
Somebody would have to, but whatever.
I understood that they were more interested in downzoning,
The whole block.
what flooded them than downzoning
Yeah.
themselves. If they were
Right.
willing to say VC3 themselves to keep their values up, but wanted the.
Well, they weren't gonna.
but the thing is, if they're MRT, they get the buffers in that transition, because right now it's BU.
Which would prevent much of anything from being developed along Washington Street. We're right in the core of the village, folks.
You
So, go
didn't
ahead.
have for the other 2 homes.
No.
Oh, I wonder what they think about their properties.
Yeah, I would be worried about the wrong
Yeah.
MRT for that reason.
Folks, are we ready to vote on the remaining parcels? All those in favor of reducing the remaining parcels in Newton, West Newton Center from VC3 to VC2, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay.
No.
Nay. Okay, we have it. I think we have finished West Newton. And,
What do you can do then?
right, I'm thinking 10:30.
I'm-
And we have other business on Monday.
I understand. I'm gonna.
If you can't stay with us, I'm sorry, but
No, that's all right.
Does anyone else have to-
No,
I'm sorry. But we have such limited time left.
It's all coffee.
That's
This is all coffee. Drinking it all night.
The more we get done tonight, the easier it is to turn around from the 11th to the 12th to get all these maps updated and posted.
How about we go back across town to Wapping? Oh, okay, folks, Wapping. Yeah, all right.
I'll stick for 10
That might be nice.
And hopefully we can do a little more after that.
I would like to do Johnsonville on Monday.
Think how great it'll be when we move this out of committee. Council Humphrey?
So just wanted to make general overview comments. I think most of the proposed changes here came from the building professionals group, not from counselors. There's maybe a few couple spots on there where that's not true, and the staff, please correct me on ones that were coming from counselors. But we had done a lot of work on changes between 1.0 and 2.0. I think, not to speak for my other colleagues in Ward 5, but I think we were pretty much happy with where we landed on the changes between 1.0 and 2.0. So for example, there were some spots that were what we would now call MRT that we actually proposed to go to VC2 and so forth. And then there were some where we just made some more appropriate down changes or expansion out. This one's obviously a little bit of a trickier village because it's not got those major streets that some of the other village centers have. It's very windy and twisty right in there. We do have a lot of single family housing right immediately outside of the residential zone. So while some of these areas maybe need to be dealt with in the residential zoning phase, I don't think we want to get too wild here without having properly noticed all of these people about the potential expansions there. We did add a lot of MRT in this 2.0 round from the previous round. So it's not like Wobbin is, getting away with something or anything like that. But that was just the general recommendations that we had, and that was, what we had been talking about with the community all year. So unless there's something that I'm missing, we're probably gonna want to stick with the 2.0 version here. But obviously, I can respond on specific parcels if other counselors had questions.
So how about we take it from the outside in as we've been doing? And the first thing is, there's been a proposal, sounds like from the building professionals group perhaps, to expand MRT where you see the green outlined properties. And we just heard from Councillor Humphrey. Is anyone going to claim that amendment? Hearing none, I will say that we're taking those off the table. And then we go to, there's an MRT that looks like it's being proposed to come out, but it is right in the middle. So who proposed that?
This is the property owner.
Yeah, he takes access from, sorry, let me get over there, from the street below.
Pine Ridge.
Yeah, and
Access from the street.
Yeah. Pine Ridge.
it's still
Front
front,
Pine Ridge, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a frontage on Beacon.
Yeah,
The driveway goes through Pine Ridge,
Yeah.
but there is obviously still a frontage on Beacon.
Yeah, I think
that's
it's
a
this
little
one right here.
So this isn't on our maps that we were starting with that changed.
Yeah, no,
no,
this was, the homeowner reached out when we shared this, and I particularly, after this, and I particularly said I would add it for the meeting.
Okay.
so Councillor Humphrey, well, I say what
Yeah.
I think, could you?
I certainly hadn't realized the issue with that one, and they hadn't said anything to me, I don't think. I don't know if staff had a recommendation on that, but I could certainly see the argument that the property owner is making, just because we're not proposing at the moment to rezone the two on Pine Ridge there, but I guess we could potentially put those in.
And I don't know if there's anything preventing access from Beacon
Yeah.
either.
The recommendation is that there isn't an issue, right? The property exists as it does, it takes access from Pine Ridge. If it redevelops as MRT and wants to have access from Beacon, it most certainly can.
Okay. So then I'm personally comfortable with leaving it as proposed in 2.0.
I am as well, because it creates sort of a hole in what's really close to, like right at the village center. And of course, the property owner doesn't have to do anything with the property. It's a beautiful home, so if somebody chose to keep it and add 2 units to the rear, they could do that. The likelihood of change is actually pretty minimal. But it doesn't make sense in terms of the plan. So I'm not hearing that anyone is proposing to make this amendment.
Councilor Norton, is there?
Councilor Norton.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and sorry I was late. I had a work conflict. I often schedule them for Thursdays, so it's not easy for me to make Thursday nights. Why? I'm just curious, when Wobbin is on the green line, why is there no VC3 proposed for this village?
Well, first of all, I know you had to join us late, and we're taking each village from the outside in to try to get through all of our amendments, but there is a proposal tonight to amend this map to include VC3, which we will get to after we go through MRT and then VC2.
Okay, yeah, I just want to communicate. I've definitely heard from people that are concerned about the equity of the north side getting a lot of density historically, as we've been seeing in the last few years. And so that this would be an opportunity to make sure that the benefits as well as the inconveniences of more density are spread more equitably throughout the city. And I think having VC3 zoning in Woburn would be a key part of that, as long as it's going to be maintained in Ward 2. Thank you.
It is being proposed, it is being proposed, but it's not on the table yet. Councillor Humphrey.
So Counselor Norton, I know you joined late. I did comment on that a few minutes ago, but also we had gone through earlier tonight. Lower Falls, Upper Falls, and Four Corners, which ended up with not having VC3. This was a parcel, the T lot specifically, that we did look at very closely, both in phase, in 1.0 phase and 2.0 phase. One of the challenges here is that because it's a T-owned lot, it probably would end up being a special permit situation anyway. Certainly something we could revisit in the future, but it's also not on a major thoroughfare, unlike a lot of the other VC3 that we've been looking at. I mean, this is kind of tucked around the corner. It's not even on Beacon Street. So there's some inherent challenges with that. And that was something that we looked at pretty closely between 1.0 and 2.0. We actually bumped up some of the surrounding territory to VC2 to make that higher, since we were not looking at this for VC3. And we added significant MRT territory into areas that are single family homes currently, rather than most of the city where the MRT is going in places that are already multifamily. So Woburn is, making its contribution here.
I guess I'm not seeing the point about it being around the corner from the T and on Beacon Street. It's obviously right on the Green Line. And as someone who takes public transportation into Boston most days,
Yes, I also take public transportation. This is my stop. I mean.
Yeah, so my point is, if I could finish, I take the commuter rail. It is much less convenient. I literally have to drive to Newton Center periodically so that I can have the more convenient public transportation. And I know that I'm not the only one who experiences the Green Line is more convenient than the commuter rail. So to me, it makes sense, whatever we think. If we think that VC3 is appropriate for village centers near public transportation, then I don't see why it wouldn't be.
Oh, it's being proposed, Councillor Norton. Could we please move?
I was just responding to Councillor Humphrey's point.
Okay, we have so much on our table right now, so we're gonna move. I think we've completed our MRT section, and we are actually ready. There's no proposed additions to VC2.
What's that Windsor Road property that?
That's the Windsor Club.
That's the Windsor Club.
Is it proposed to? go
Oh,
to
I guess it
VC2?
is. Yep. Okay,
Somebody proposed it.
let's take that next. Who proposed the upzoning of the Windsor Club to VC2?
I don't know.
Councillor Kalis?
I think Council, yes. I would agree. Yeah,
He's not here.
that in the parking lot.
Okay, so let's move to the proposal for VC3, because I don't know that, does somebody else want to move?
I'll move it.
Okay, do you have his rationale, Andy,
Is no.
to speak to? Okay,
It's a nice piece of property, it's a big lot, and it's already a very busy lot, a lot of times, most of the time. Especially on weekends, and it should be easy too.
Councilor Humphrey?
I'm not commenting on it. I'm not on the committee.
Well, that's okay, you're the Ward 5 counselor, what do you think? Is this something you discussed with anyone in Woburn?
No one had brought it up either way until Councilor Kalis did, and I'm certainly cognizant of Councilor Laredo's suggestion at the last meeting that we should notice these things if we're gonna be proposing significant changes to it, and nobody would have gotten noticed for that. So I'm not completely,
They will.
okay, well, you
I'm
can.
not sure anything can happen there. The Windsor Club is like, it's a neighborhood.
Right.
It basically belongs to the people of Woburn.
Right.
I know, but that's true for almost a lot of stuff that we're.
I don't know. I think the Windsor Club is a very particular thing that, again, it's like the residents of Woburn, and it would, I think collectively, the whole village would have to decide to alter the use of that parcel.
But we can still zone.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's
So-
it zoned for now?
Single family, SR1 or 2, SR2.
So we're proposing it as MRT, which in a way you could say doesn't make sense because that limits it to residential use.
There's no resident.
I'll support BC two there. Okay, we have a motion. I don't see that. Counselor Bowman, did you want to speak? I don't see your hand.
Put it down, but I will say that I guess I see this as a small country club. Like, we're not rezoning golf courses, right? I mean, I don't feel like it's going to change anything other than make people concerned that something could change.
That's a good point.
Then yeah, I would take it out. I would remove the parcel from the zoning.
You would take it out and remove it from the zoning? Yeah, because it doesn't make sense as
Yeah.
MRT.
We may end up with a hole. If we do that.
We don't have enough contiguous, because of the
Yeah.
library too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're not many.
No.
Well, if we end up with a hole, we can't count the whole village.
Oh.
Well, I don't know. I think we could end up with a hole, in which case we'd lose this area.
Just leave it as MRT then.
Beacon.
Just leave it as MRT.
They don't have to opt in. So if the use
Yeah,
isn't
right.
allowed.
They can leave it alone and it would probably be too difficult to make any change to it anyway, so
They're
it doesn't
non-conforming
matter
now,
what it's zoned.
so they'll need.
Okay, so we don't want a hole. We've got to have contiguous land area. So Councilor Ryan, do you want the motion on the table? Happy to.
So what we're proposing now, not me, but it's going, you said residential now?
It's residential now. It's gonna be-
We would be proposing it goes to MRT.
Yes, it's for contiguity within this.
Well,
village.
we have it as MRT, the proposed amendment is the VC two.
Yeah, I propose it.
Okay.
But I'm gonna stick with the VC2 and forget.
Okay. The proposal is to upzone this particular parcel from MRT to VC2. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And
Aye.
sorry. It's actually would be a special permit, so we're not counting it right now anyway, so it is a hole in our map right now anyway. So it wouldn't actually change anything if you took it out.
Okay.
Apologies.
We have two in favor of changing to VC2.
Well,
How many?
That changes it.
That
Take
changes
it out now.
You would take it out, okay? So are we completing the motion that's on the table? Never mind, it's withdrawn. Okay. So there's a new
So I
motion,
can move to withdraw the parcel from the overlay district.
okay? Motion is to remove the parcel from the overlay district. It does not create a hole and it won't change anyway. And, getting a little punchy here. Okay, all those in favor of removing it from the VCID, please say aye.
Aye.
I believe that's 8-0. Okay. All right, that takes care of the MRT. And we're now going to go to the 3 VC2 lots, which are proposed to be upzoned along the T to VC3.
What's it now? Is
that
a coffee shop?
No,
Parking lot, and it's in housing authority.
Yeah.
apartment building. So
Yeah.
Here's
There
the T
you go.
parking
There's
lot.
the MBTA parking lot. That's the
and
first one.
then there's
Housing project.
2 housing authority. Thanks.
Okay.
And how many stories are they? 2.5?
2.5.
And they're along the T.
And the proposal is to take them from
To
VC2 to VC3.
Correct.
To VC3.
Who made that proposal?
3.
Counselor Humphrey, but not all 3 lots, right?
No, I was just gonna comment that it was originally gonna be MRT for 2 of those. And we did bring it up to VC2, so we already proposed to upzone it. And then it was contextually stepping down along Lyman Street, which is already a mixed street of various housing types. So for those 2 parcels, we already stepped it up from 1.0. And then for the parking lot, no matter what you do, I'm not saying not to build there or not to build at VC3 scale. I'm saying that no matter what you do, because it's a T lot, and it's gonna be special permit and everything, it's kind of an irrelevant question here.
So do you think they should all be VC3 or do you think the 2 housing authority projects should be VC2 and the T lot should be VC3.
I don't like.
Oh, you didn't make that, I thought you made that.
Somebody did, but I was saying that the VC two for the other ones. That was what we proposed from 1.0 to 2.0.
These two lots.
And that seems, VC two seems appropriate for those. It's bigger than what's there now, but it's still a stepping stone down to the rest of it. And then, you know, I would say you can discuss the T lot separately as its own thing, because it is its own thing.
Okay. Is someone moving it? Council Ryan?
I disagree with that. I think the T lot and the lot beside it, should be VC3 and then the next lot should be VC2. And then as a step down.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Yeah, because we need more VC3 on one.
And that's on one side of the T and the other side is houses. Is
The
that right?
church
Okay.
houses with really
I
deep
believe
backyards.
they're higher elevation.
Okay, who's making the motion?
Can I make a motion on what I just said?
Yes, so the motion is to upzone the T lot and the one adjacent to it to the southeast, I'm sorry, as VC3 from VC2. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
No.
1, 2, 3 opposed. 1, 2, 3. What'd you
I
vote?
abstain.
You abstain?
I'm in favor of the VC3 for the T lot and the middle, the adjacent building.
So you're abstaining
And the
on,
VC2. As a step down.
Okay.
So you're a yes?
no. Oh,
That was the motion. That was the
That was the
motion.
that was the motion.
I was a yes.
I didn't hear you. That's what I was asking you. Okay,
Yeah,
so you're a
yeah.
yes. 1, 2, 3, 4 yeses, 3 no's, 1 abstention. Got that, Jacqueline?
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's it for Robin. Anybody want to go to
So nobody-
the anthem?
Nobody's taking up this third parcel then.
No, it's not. That was.
That's staying at VC2.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you have Auburndale and. Falls. So if Counselor Gentile or Markowitz are in the audience, which I can't see, we're definitely not getting to Auburndale and Lower Falls today. So we're not getting there either, I think. It'd be better to do the now. You don't want to?
The proposal for Thompsonville is just to really change all the VC three to VC two. And add one parcel.
Because, is it your proposal?
No.
But you could probably do it very quickly.
Can we do it very quickly?
I think one answer would take more than 15 minutes.
Yeah, I think Thompsonville is pretty small.
And we could do the name, and then you can form it, Ward 1 all.
We're doing just now.
Okay, that means we'll have Ward 1 and Ward 4 to do on Monday. Okay. Not terrible. All right, the proposal in Thompson is to eliminate all of the VC3 along Route 9 and up that Lane Road. And I believe this is, oh dear, I'm sorry, let me take up that MRT.
Yeah,
Somebody
that-
claim the
That's
MRT.
the property owner.
The property owner would like to upzone to VC2 from MRT.
It's already a 3.5 story.
It's already a 3.5 story building.
Oh, yeah.
Go to the-
Okay, can somebody move that?
Yeah, I'll move in.
Okay, all those in favor of continuing the VC2 into that first lot north on John Street?
Put your arrow on it.
Well, there's only one.
22, 24 John, and it's a 3.5 story.
22, 24 John
Yeah.
Street. Okay, moving it up from MRT to VC2. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? That was unanimous. Okay, now I believe the rest is Counselor Wright. Is that correct?
Yep. Thompsonville is
kind of like Four Corners in size, and in Four Corners, we did all VC2. So I think it's appropriate here. The other thing is, we're gonna be doing the corridors on Route 9 at a later date, so, you know, it may change at a later time, but I'd like to see VC2 here.
I agree.
Are there any priority streets?
It's too far, no. Oh, is it priority?
Priority streets.
Oh, yeah.
We did have some mixed priority, right? Let me.
I remember what we talked about with Thompsonville was that it
Langley
could
and
be
Jackson, just a
a
little
more
bit.
coherent village.
It's all right there on Route 9.
So much of it is.
Right on,
Yeah.
right on Route 9.
And why not keep the VC3 on the priority streets and then do the step down behind it?
I think we know from the.
Thompsonville is the size of Four Corners. In Waben, we only have,
9.
it is, and Waben has one VC3. It's actually, I think Waben's bigger.
So this is what we had proposed for priority streets, the black lines.
Okay, is anyone interested in parsing this so that the priority streets remain VC3 and Route 9 remains VC3?
And that makes some sense. I am interested in.
Okay, because we do understand from the economic analyses that it's more expensive to build, to require retail and commercial uses on the first floor, fire separate and all the egress requirements and so forth. And that the additional story helps to facilitate that. So that's what my input on this.
But then in Waben, you got priority streets and it's VC2. What's the difference?
Well, those aren't very busy streets. We're making the point that this.
But you're saying the cost of doing business there, that they can't do it if you're gonna have it VC2.
Major
Well,
intersection,
because it's also major.
Yeah.
It's a major.
always traffic.
So why wouldn't we make those 4 properties together? All VC3? Is there a reason? For
What
that?
for are you talking
Which four?
about?
4 that are, there's 2 of them that are priority.
Between Boylston
An arrow.
and
On Jackson.
Those 4 that are along Balls, on Jackson
Yes,
Street,
that's
and along Route 9, so they face Jackson Street.
What's the cross the
Between Route 9 and
street?
Jackson.
What's the green area on Jackson?
Oh, these.
Yeah.
Condos.
The
Condos,
green area,
yeah.
Yeah.
How tall are those condos?
which are MRT.
What, like 2 stories?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, I'm sorry.
yeah, the last, I'm from a community, all those full of VC3, but right now, the last lot to the west is, it's got chain link fencing up and is being developed. It's the old, was it Chinese restaurant? So I don't know what's going on with it,
Where are we here? Are we going back to the graphic?
but that should be VC3.
Okay, so all those in favor of, so the motion is to reduce the 4 lots. Oh, I'm sorry, Council Bowman?
Thank you very much. So this area is one where there's been a significant amount of new housing built, just, forget which direction it is, just north on Langley. And of course, we permitted a big project, project on Jackson and another project on the right side of Jackson. I think this is a great location to encourage some small businesses, little corner stores, and maybe a few little small restaurants to service those people and to make this area more walkable. I just submitted a request as part of the pedestrian and bike plan to make a walking and bike path on this side of Route 9 from Langley to all the way to the street, because we have a lot of people who live here and a lot of people who walk across the light here to get to the T. So I think this is an area that would greatly benefit from having the height of VC3 that would encourage some of those buildings to get rebuilt and to encourage to keep businesses on the bottom floor.
Would you?
So
I was gonna ask you, would you diminish any of this?
No.
No, I would not.
Okay, that's all we need to hear from, and because this is Ward 6, right?
Right. And don't forget, just a couple hundred feet to the east here, we have towers. 16 stories high, And, you know, it's really close. So it's, yeah, I think that, you know, this is an opportunity to have, you know, some good small retail and some small units, housing units up above. So I would hope that we would do that.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
And,
Council Ryan?
just- I know we're not doing the other side now, but what's over there now is all multifamily. 4-story condo building, 6-story condo building. An even higher one, I forget how many stories that is, so there's a lot going on right in that area. And plus then you have the shopping center, so.
Okay, so in Ward 8 is right across Route 9, and Councilor Eastman, did you wanna?
I'm just wondering if we were talking about those other two parcels being included in the priority street, do you want that as part of this, or is that a separate discussion?
What I think I'm hearing is that folks are, maybe I'm wrong, ready to keep all of this as VC3, but if we want to separate it, I'm still happy to do
No,
that.
stay VC3, but if we make those two parcels between, as priority.
We don't need it
It's being
anymore.
redeveloped already, right?
It's been redeveloped.
I think it's
already.
being redeveloped.
It's being redeveloped now.
Something is happening, yeah.
And I think it's all residential.
The reason I won't,
Which is why we did.
I would still support the change, is that this is, there's no parking requirement here for these facilities.
Oh, we should talk about parking requirements. Okay, 10, 20.
So,
Through the whole evening.
They'll have to create.
Okay. So Councilor Baker, I didn't quite hear you. Did you say that?
No, I support Councilor Wright. And part of my
I see.
understanding is the lack of a parking requirement in this situation.
I see.
There is no, easy place to put all the people that are coming in there.
Okay, I believe all the new development has included parking.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna take this as a block. All those in favor of reducing from VC3 to VC2, all of the lots outlined in blue in Thompsonville, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
Any abstentions? Okay, that's a 2-6. All right, thank you, Councilor Baker, for bearing with us to get one more village done. We could stay if you still want to do, we have 4 more villages. We have Nantum, Newton Corner, Auburndale, and Lower Falls. No, we don't have Lower Falls.
There's no Nantum, Newton Corner, and Auburndale.
Just 3.
Yeah.
Only 3.
Only
Okay. And actually, so we'll hear from Councilor Greenberg, who's in,
Right, she went to the.
Newton Corner neighborhood.
Yeah.
All right, good night.
Good night.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. Yes, we need a motion to hold, hold on. All those in favor? We have it from Council Princeman. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So sorry. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. We will be at it again on Monday night. We start with a small public hearing on craft breweries, which is lots of fun at 7 p.m. We had the public hearing already noticed, so. We'll be You're gonna be like, I'm going to this. I'm going. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yes. Oh, right.